Check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Yeah. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Lockdown! The Rob Brown Show.
Good morning.
Yeah! Baby! Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate, the 4 most electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment you're going to find anywhere on the planet at 6 o'clock in the morning. Starts right now. Howdy, people. How do you do? Welcome in. Great to see you. Hey, talk to you. Have you listening to us and then potentially interacting with the show at some point? Whatever you want to say, it's great to have that. Thanks for being here. Hope you're well. Goodness gracious. Oh, mio, mio. What a day we have got lined up today. What a day we've got lined up. Because college football has been spectacular. We have got the NFL. You know what? Let me just jump right in. First off, I'm Rob. Hi. Second off, that's Alonzo. Hi, Zo.
Hello.
How are you, man?
I am awesome.
I'm so glad to hear that. I would like to bring Alonzo in very quickly because I got in this AM and I started putting the outline of the show together. I do most of my prep the night before. And then after I go through and do the prep, the next morning I come in and I put the outline of the show together, which is pointless because we don't ever follow it, but at least it's there. So I come in, I put the outline together, and usually what I try to do is the night before I come up with, here's the things that I want to talk about, but then you've got to put the radio spin on them, right? Like you've got to take, I would like to talk about another rookie quarterback got placed into a dumpster fire of a franchise who has now seen his head coach get fired in his first 1 or 2 seasons. And that is the point that we're going to get to in a conversation later on today. But then you got to spin it for the radio. You got to put a little chef's kiss, a little touch on it to make it more compelling than just going, hey guys, another rookie quarterback got drafted by an absolutely ass-tastic team that got their head coach fired within the first 2 years. And I'd like to give you the list of other quarterbacks that has happened to over the years and see if we notice a bit of a pattern. But how do you say that in what we in the biz call a tease? So I got in this morning. I was putting down the news about not 1 but 2 Monday Night Football games last night with not 1 but 2 shocking results for different reasons. The Washington Commanders had every, not just possibility, it was a probability that they win that game last night, but they forgot how to hand off a football. And Chicago was able to go get the win. By the way, them same Chicago Bears that Rob Brown told you preseason, maybe you want to keep an eye on this squad, 3-2 at this point. So maybe there's a little something there. Maybe Rob knows ball, but the Commanders get the win. But that's not even the shocking thing. Or that was one of the 2 shocking things. The other shocking thing was that Josh Allen, he's down to just 2 now from a record high of 4 back in week 2.
That is generous.
He got
giving him 2.
It got hacked. I cut it in half.
Dude.
He was Josh Allen as of 2 days ago. Now it's just Josh Allen.
The rest of this game about a half hour or so ago. He's just Josh again.
So I want to talk about what the hell's wrong with the Buffalo Bills. And we will get to that here in just a little while. But obviously, the shocking thing about that wasn't just that the Atlanta Falcons upset the Buffalo Bills last night, because I don't think Atlanta's a bad football team either. The shocking thing about the Atlanta Falcons beating the Bills last night was that they pretty much beat that ass from start to finish. I mean, Buffalo made it a little spicy and dicey at the end. But by and large, Atlanta was in control of that contest from start to finish.
You mean that team with no offensive line?
That team with a defense that is constructed out of 1 to 3 wet paper towel rolls.
Yeah,
that defense, that offense, yes. It's bad.
It's part of the game. Sometimes you have injuries.
Now, we're going to circle back around, and I will give you all the time that you want to poop on the Bills, because that isn't what I'd like to get to here. What I would like to get to here is, as I was in this morning, reacting to those two Monday Night Football games, putting the show outline together and trying to come up with a little radio kiss to give it something compelling, to give it something entertaining beyond just saying, hey, here's what I'd like to say right now. As I sat in the office and I was putting together on our live stream our little ticker that runs down at the bottom that kind of gives you a little tease of what is going to be discussed on the radio program today, Lonzo walked into the office. Now, when Zoe walks into the Fortress of Nerditude in the AM, there's one of two ways that our morning starts. The first is, as I'm trying to grow and evolve, adapt as a person. And one of the things that I am trying to learn how to be comfortable with is that silence is okay. It's okay for things to be quiet. You don't have to say, hey, buddy, how you doing? All the time. Sometimes you can just acknowledge you're here, I'm here, we're here. We're about to spend 4 hours talking to each other. We don't have to go through the platitudes in the AM. Hey, man, how was the drive? How's the weather? How's the wife? Like, you don't have to do all that. So I'm trying to get better about that. And sometimes Zoe walks in and we just don't say anything. It's understood. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're well. I hope you had a good drive in this morning. We're about to talk to each other for 4 hours. We don't need to say anything. Or when somebody walks in, or when Zoe walks into the Fortress of Nerditude, when I'm getting the show set up, one of us will make an observation or a discussion about something from the day before. It may be a little smart-ass quip. It may be an astute and deep and profound observation about something we saw yesterday. But we say something connected to something that we saw yesterday. And so when Zoe walked into the room, he started the day by saying what, Lonzo?
Who's the best team in the NFL?
Yeah. I believe if I recall correctly, I believe what you said is, who's good in the NFL right now? I believe the question was, who's good in the NFL right now? And that is amusing. Because as I put the show together this morning, one of the topics that I wrote down on the tablet, one of the things that is actually in the little headline ticker running across the bottom of the screen this morning, telling you what we're going to discuss on the show, is I have no idea. We have no idea who's good in the NFL right now. Like, we talked 2 weeks ago about college football, and I pointed out that at the time, 2 weeks ago, college football had, I think, the first Macho Man Randy Savage weekend where the cream rises to the top. Yeah. And it felt like we started to get a bit of a picture about who are the contenders and who are the pretenders in college football. And I think it started to shake out a little bit. We started seeing teams like Alabama. Oh, maybe they're a good team. Hell, Ole Miss is 6-0. We're halfway through the season. It took almost halfway through the season. Oh, we're halfway through the season? That made me sad unnecessarily.
We're also a third of the way through the NFL season.
Yeah, but that's not as impactful as we are halfway done with college football. Like, we're halfway done. Anyway, we started to see the shakeup. LSU, it's like, maybe they're not as good as we thought with the loss to Ole Miss. Georgia took the L to Bama. They're not the juggernaut we thought they might be. Hey, maybe this Ole Miss team really is finally a good squad. Hey, turns out Rob Brown got completely and totally bamboozled, hoodwinked, and swindled by Penn State. Hey, remember, though, because although I did say that Penn State was going to be good, I also told you Indiana's not a joke this year with Fernando Mendoza. And now he's a Heisman Trophy, not just a Heisman Trophy frontrunner. He's the Heisman Trophy frontrunner.
And lucky them, They don't play Ohio State in the regular season.
They do not. But I'll tell you this right now. They went on the road and beat Oregon. Tell me Indiana can't win the Big Ten this year. They absolutely can. It'll be a ball out.
They can't.
See, I don't think your team is as dominant as you are portraying them to be right now. You wouldn't have said Indiana could go to Oregon and beat the Ducks either.
I thought the Ducks were overrated, but
I don't. But the point is, we started to see it set a little bit, right? It's like one of those toys you had as a kid. Well, I'm making this up. It's like a toy that maybe you had as a kid where you got a big thing of water, and inside of it is like, there's like oil, then there's like water, then there's like sand, then there's like rocks, and you shake it up and it's all jumbled. But over time, it starts to settle. The big rocks go down, and then the sand sifts in, and then the water, and then the oil rises up, and you get all these different multicolored substances that stack. But it takes some time to get there. That's kind of what college football was. I would like to say that that's about the time we're at in the National Football League, with most teams having played 6 games and a few having their bye and playing 5. But who are the best teams in the NFL right now? Because as of right now, it's obviously not the Bills. They've lost 2 in a row going into the bye week. Is it the Patriots? Are the Patriots the best team in the NFC or in the AFC East right now? They're 4-2 with a win over the Bills. They are on the top of that division right now. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers actually a good team? Or are they doing that thing that they do every year where they get Mike Tomlin to the no losing seasons mark, and then they kind of tail off down the stretch? I don't know. Are the Jacksonville Jags actually good? I think so. They're at 4-2 right now. But they also just lost to Seattle. But wait, is Seattle good? They're 4-2, but so are the 49ers. The 49ers 4-2, and without Brock Purdy, with Mac Jones. But are they actually good? I don't know the answer to that. I think what about the Packers? The Packers spent 3 weeks looking like the most dominant, complete, and complementary team in the National Football League, and then they stank for the last 2 weeks. What about the Eagles? The Eagles won the Super Bowl last year. They were supposed to run it back. Not a bad football team at all. They're also 4-2, but they're 4-2 with back-to-back losses to the Broncos and BT Dubs, the New York Football Giants. Are the Eagles good? I don't know. There is one team. Now, you know what? Scratch that. I'll even stretch to give you 2. I'll stretch to give you 2. There are 2 teams right now that you're like, maybe them? And those 2 teams right now are, as we all predicted, the most dominant teams in the National Football League. As we all predicted. Tampa Bay and Indianapolis. The 2 5-1 teams. As we all knew, the Bucks and the Colts setting the standard and the pace for the NFL.
I kind of did predict that.
To win the division. You did not see a 5-1 most dominant team in the AFC Colts. Don't tell me you did.
To win the division, you've got to be at least dominant in your division, which might make you dominant in the NFL.
And that's not why I said you didn't see a dominant in the AFC. So you may have said that.
You just finding a way to not let me take some credit.
There is no one that thought. I'm giving you credit. You picked the Colts to finish. By the way, I'd like to be very clear. Second in their division.
True.
So don't sit here and be like, clearly picked them to win the division. No, you didn't, and I didn't either.
I did pick Danny Dimes to do well there.
You did. I'm going to give you credit because I
did pick Tampa Bay to win the division.
You said the Colts were, come on. You said the Colts were going to be better than I said the Colts were. That is true.
Well, everyone said Atlanta coming into this, and it still could be.
You picked the Colts to be better than I picked the Colts. That's fine. You picked them to be second in the division. So, we're not going to victory dance that we nailed it on the Colts here.
So I knew ball accidentally?
No, you didn't know ball. You had them to come second in the division.
Okay. All right. Then they still might.
Behind the 2-3 Texans.
Right.
So, no.
It's the NFL. I am curious, though. Have you looked up the odds to see if the odds have shifted as to what it was before?
Which one? Super Bowl, AFC Championship? Which ones you want?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl odds. I know that they have moved quite a bit. Last week, if I recall correctly, the Buffalo Bills, despite the Week 5 loss, the Buffalo Bills were still the either the favorite or right at the favorites to go to and win the Super Bowl this year. Let's see when this is tough because obviously they haven't posted a lot since last night.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can get on the BetMGM site, if I can get the live odds as of this AM, because I am curious as well. Like, because the thought for me would be in this spot, the Colts and the Buccaneers are right now the two most dominant teams in the National Football League. But I also don't think there's a snowball's chance that those two teams are the shortest odds to win the Super Bowl. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. After last night, this is as of, no, let me let BetMGM. I got to see what BetMGM updates. This can't be right. They've got the Bills at 6-1, the Chiefs at 6.5-1, the Lions at 7.5-1, the Packers at 8-1, the Eagles at 10-1, the Rams 14-1, the Colts 17-1, the Broncos 18-1, the Chargers 18-1, the Commanders 22-1, and yeah, that's the top of the list. Bucks 18-1. I don't know. The point here is, I don't know who the best teams in the NFL are right now. The NFL is topsy-turvy.
This is what people wanted, right? They wanted parity. They wanted this. They wanted that anybody has a chance, except for a couple. There's still a couple of teams that's no offense. There's still a couple of teams there's no chance. But this is what people wanted. This is
mine.
Rob is raising his hand.
Mine.
There's still, this is what people wanted. They wanted parity. They wanted to be able, it's not the same teams winning every year. And you know what? It very well could still be Kansas City and Philadelphia in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely could. There's a lot of football left. And the best teams, obviously, are going to be the teams that improve and figure it out as we get closer to the end of the year. But at the same time, we're 6 games deep. We're 6 of 17 games deep.
And a couple of the dominant AFC teams that are supposed to be the teams, like Buffalo, like Baltimore, they just do not look good. And I know it's injuries is a lot to do with it, but it's not everything. They just don't look good right now.
I think that's kind of the point, is the teams that we thought, let's talk consensus. The consensus was the Buffalo Bills were winning the AFC East, right? That was the consensus. There's no they're tied with the Patriots. Not just tied with the Patriots, they're actually not tied with the Patriots because the Patriots beat the Bills last weekend. They're both 4-2, but the Pats have the tiebreaker. They are on top of this division. And it's not like it's week 3 and there was a stumble out of the gate that threw all this into flux. They're 4-2. We're 6 games deep. We are a third of the way, more than a third of the way through the season. And they're on top. It was for sure. I'm not going to say consensus, but like overwhelmingly, the Baltimore Ravens were going to go win the North again. They're 1-5. The Steelers 4-1. And I'll keep it a buck. The Steelers are 4-1. They look good. They don't look dominant. They're 4-1. They're on top of the division. They don't look dominant at 4-1. The Colts. I think this was probably the most split up division in terms of picks. You had a lot of people like Zoe went with the Texans. Your boy Rob Brown went with the Jags. You had a fistful of people that went with the Colts. The Jags and the Colts are 1 game apart from each other in that division right now. The AFC West, consensus just about. It's the Chiefs. They're 3rd in that division behind the Chargers and the Broncos. The Broncos who just beat the Eagles, by the way. Like
that's a little deceptive because they haven't played each other too much.
At the end of the day, you're all playing NFL teams.
No,
right?
I mean,
like this is
in the division, they haven't played each other very much.
You're all playing NFL teams.
Right.
Like this ain't college ball where it's like, well, we're 12-0. Yeah, but you're 12-0 in the Big 12.
I know. I'm just saying they've only.
I get what you're saying. You're defending your squad. I respect.
They only played 1 team in the AFC West so far, and that was.
And what
Chargers.
happened?
They lost.
That's it. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like
right.
there's not there. This NFL season is spectacular. Like it's awesome because at this point, every game at least is compelling to the narrative. At this point, I do not think that you would have talked me into before last night. Rob Brown, you better scratch your plans and be ready for the big Buffalo-Atlanta contest. But now it's like, bro, can anybody beat anybody except the Saints who can't beat anybody? I go, well, they did. They beat the Giants who then turned around and beat the Eagles. What is the NFL right now? It's great. It's great. Every game matters.
There's a reason to watch just about every game.
It is.
Yeah.
Every game matters. Every game has at least an impact on the narrative right now. All right, we got a lot we're going to get into today, including a bunch of NFL breakdown. We've got to talk more college football. Carolina Gamecock fans, what do you expect to see out of your offense now with the first coaching change? With the offensive line getting a new bit of leadership. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show was on your radio. Let's go. It's the Fan Upstate. Morning, Zach. Welcome in, big dog.
It could be that, Zach. It could be Baker versus Danny. It absolutely could be.
Oh, do you understand? You understand how much fun your boy Rob Brown's going to have with the franchise versus QB and franchise QB conversation if Baker and Danny Dimes were the guys?
Usually,
that might be the only thing we talk about for that entire 2 weeks.
Usually, if a team I pull for is not in there, I just don't care. But that I'd want to watch that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I still want to watch that. Just the storyline alone.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, stay right there. We'll be RB.
I'm glad you corrected yourself. Indiana Jones, you're right, Zach, which is a much better nickname anyway.
Indianapolis Jones. We're going to ping around the NFL a lot today. We're going to talk quite a bit of NFL. We are going to talk some college football coming up in a little while because I would like to expound upon something that I said yesterday on the show, which is That game against LSU was very winnable for South Carolina. Like, it was very winnable. You stopped yourself from winning. And I want to circle back around to that later on. But we are going to talk a lot of NFL because I made the recognition last week that we have kind of, to some degree, eschewed the NFL to a degree. And, as the Rob Brown Show is an all the sports show, I'd like to make sure that we're on top of the game.
That's been your word lately. It's
one of my favorites.
It's a good word.
It's a great word. It's a great word.
I don't know if it's a sports radio word though.
We are sophisticated. We are cultured. We are men of culture.
I mean, the people listening this early, they all know issue for sure. But
100%.
People who get up at 8:30, they don't know that word.
To deliberately abstain from issue. It's a good word. Today's Merriam-Webster.com dictionary word of the day, Lonzo. Utopia. Utopia, today's word. An imaginary place in which the government laws and social conditions are perfect. A place of ideal perfection. Utopia. Feel free to work that in.
You mean like this program?
You know what? I would say that this program is indeed a utopia of sports talking. I would concur with that. So let's talk about the NFL MVP here for just a minute, because I don't know who it is.
Baker!
I know who right now, as far as I'm concerned,
that hurt.
I'll be the front runner. You just got to lean into it. You just got to lean into it. You just got to own it.
I think I should have came from the diaphragm. I've never understood how to do that.
Now, with that being said, my belief would be that as we sit here on October 14th of 2025, and with the knowledge that the most valuable player award, much like the Heisman Trophy, is to some degree, no, it is a quarterback award. And it is to some degree a quarterback popularity contest. With that being said, these are the odds as of this beautiful morning. Great one right now. You know who I think it is? Right now, who's the front runner for the most valuable player if I wanted to go pop a bet down on our friends at BetMGM's website? Who's the front runner this moment?
I think I just said who I think it is.
And that's who I thought it was too. If I was to tell you it's not Baker Mayfield, which I will because it's not Baker Mayfield. Who's next? Who's next?
I don't know. I mean, I would say, Danny Dimes, but it's not.
Not only is it not Danny Dimes,
it's probably a running back.
It is not.
Wow.
It is a quarterback. In fact, of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys.
It can't still be Josh Allen, is it?
It is not Josh Allen.
Okay, wow.
He is second. Shortest odds. Who's number one? You're overthinking this.
It's not Patrick Mahomes.
It is Patrick Mahomes.
Weird.
This is part of the reason.
Although he's been playing really, really well. It's not. I
wouldn't disagree.
I got problems with the defense.
I wouldn't disagree. Well, hang on just a second. I agree. I got problems with their defense too, but let's not pretend the Chiefs' offense is a well-oiled machine right now. They got issues.
Well, they've improved every week, and guess who comes back this week?
I didn't say they haven't been improved.
Okay.
I said let's not pretend they're a juggernaut right now. They might be at the end of the year.
I said Patrick Mahomes is playing really well. That's all I said.
Mahomes is playing fine.
But he's not going to win it because he's in that Michael Jordan, once you win an MVP a couple of times that you're probably not going to win it again.
Not according to Las Vegas. Patrick Mahomes, not just the shortest odds. He's 2-1.
Huh.
2-1. 2-1. Now, for those of you,
I don't know quarterback play. I don't know who's playing better. I mean, statistic wise, there probably is someone. I don't know. But if you take Patrick, what is the definition of MVP? If you take that player off the team, can that team win without him? And in this case, probably not.
So yes, that is. I'm good with that being the definition of MVP.
You could say the same thing in Baltimore, but they couldn't win with Lamar, and now they can't win without him. So
fine, Lamar's not anywhere close to the top of the list, and he shouldn't be. You are correct. It is well, let me take that back. This is a fight that we had on the show a few weeks ago. And I don't even remember what the conversation was about, what MVP award we were talking about at that moment in time. But I made the argument then, and I'll make the argument now, that about half of the country approaches MVP incorrectly. About half of the country. And here's what I mean. There's two ways to approach your MVP thoughts. The first is you treat it as the best player award. You treat it as the best player award. This trophy goes to the best player in their spot. And then there is the correct way to discuss, which is to put the emphasis on the word valuable in the phrase most valuable player. Most valuable player, to me, should go to the player who is the most valuable to their team. As in, if that player was removed, this team would be hurt the most by it. Well, the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. That's not a theory. That's not subjective. That's just a fact. It's a quarterback-driven league. So I understand the argument that it is more likely than not in a quarterback-driven league, where at any given moment, there's really only ever 3 to 5 top quarterbacks, maximum 3 to 5. And more often, it's really like 2 or 3 top quarterbacks. And everybody else has got to have other guys across the entire starting 22 pick it up when you do not have a top man at quarterback. But even if we go with that, I'm still looking at the value the quarterback provides. And if we go with it's a combination of the value you provide and the team's got to win. Now, I do think a player can be the most valuable on a bad team. I think we talked about this, Nikola Jokic for the Denver Nuggets. Different sport, I am aware. Premise remains the same. We had on BetMGM Network last year in the run-up to the NBA playoffs when we were really getting into the discussion about the NBA MVP award. I had a gentleman on from Denver on our Saturday morning show. And we were talking to him about Nikola Jokic's ability to win another MVP. And we were talking about voter fatigue and why voter fatigue is dumb and bad, and I hate it. And he said, do you know why Nikola Jokic is the MVP? And I said, why is that, random guy in Denver who covers his team? He said, because I will tell you, as a fan, as a reporter who covers the team, and as a lifelong fan of the Denver Nuggets, without Nikola Jokic, this is not even a wild card team. Without Nikola Jokic, this team is drafting top 10 in the NFL or in the NBA next year. Without Nikola Jokic, this team is a maybe a 30 to 40 win team without him. With him, they're a 50-plus win team who is going to the playoffs as a top seed. Without him, they're not only not going to the playoffs, without him, they're drafting in the lottery next year. That's how bad it is. Mahomes and the Chiefs are 3-3 and in third place in their division. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs are 5-1, running away with that division, beating everybody right now, and he is the third shortest odds behind 3-3 Patrick Mahomes, 4-2 Josh Allen, who lost to the Pats and the Falcons in back-to-back weeks and ain't first place in the division that he was a consensus pick to win.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm actually, look at the back of my shirt.
He's literally wearing a Mahomes shirt right now.
And who did I pick for MVP?
It's got to be Baker.
Right, it's Baker. I don't understand that. And when I'm saying that Mahomes is playing really well, he is. But MVP right now is Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield 3.5 to 1 behind Mahomes at 2 to 1. Josh Allen at plus 275. Baker Mayfield plus 350. You ready for what's even more fun? Mahomes 2 to 1. Allen plus 275. Baker Mayfield 3.5 to 1. Jared Goff has the fourth shortest odds at 15 to 1.
It's a little bit of a jump there.
That's a cliff. That is a Bugs Bunny run off the side, hold up a sign saying, uh-oh, and fall off the cliff. Jared Goff, 15-1. Matt Stafford, 16-1. Jordan Love, 18-1. Drake May, 18-1. Justin Herbert, 20-1. 20-1. Danny Dimes, 30-1. The drop from Baker to Goff, 3-4, is only slightly less impactful than the drop from Herbert to Jones. For the rest, just in case you're curious, Lamar Jackson, 35-1. Jaden Daniels, 40-1. Same with Dak Prescott. Sam Darnold, 50-1. Jalen Hurts, 66-1. Aaron Rodgers, 80-1. Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams, 100-1. Bijan Robinson, after what he did last night, I'd say he might be the best player in the NFL that nobody says is the best player in the NFL. Just to give you a hint, every guy we've said so far, all quarterbacks, where's Bijan Robinson today? 150-1. Daddy might go drop a tenner on Bijan Robinson right now.
Are there any defensive players on there?
Let's see.
Curious.
Looking down the line, Puka Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs. Aiden Hutchinson, first defensive player, 250-1. It's an MVP. It should be called the MVQB award from now on. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Jacob, it's both. I mean, it is who Vegas thinks will win in the end, not win the Super Bowl, who wins the award, but it is also statistics. These odds will change on the daily. A lot of them are record impact. A lot of them are performance impact. The other one is based on how people have bet, right? It's not how people are betting. It is how they have bet. If Patrick Mahomes got a buttload of money thrown on him at the beginning, preseason, then his odds will stay naturally inflated to some degree, which is what I suspect happened. Y'all stay right there. I got to load some audio. We'll be right back. on the radio program this morning. The NFL is wild right now, dude. It's just wild right now. So we had 2 games last night in Monday Night Football. And at the conclusion of those 2 games, and I will go ahead and acknowledge, I was not as locked in on these 2 games as I ordinarily am on Monday nights because we had both AL and NLCS games going on last night at the same time. And we will get into those series a little bit later on. One of them might be a series. The other one already isn't. Seattle goes to, who are they playing? Toronto. No.
I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button.
No, that's later.
No, I hit the wrong button.
Later.
I was trying to hit this.
Bro.
Because you were
struggling there for a second.
Yeah.
Seattle goes to Toronto. Remember, it is a best of 7, but it is a 2-3-2 format. 2 games at the top seed, 3 games at the lower seed, and then 6 and 7 at the top seed. So Seattle goes to Toronto and takes both games, meaning that Seattle needs to win 2 of 3 at their own crib to put the series away. If they drop one of them, they're fine. If they drop 2, then they'll have 1 to win 2 in Toronto to wrap up the series. On the flip side, let me tell you why I'm afraid of the Dodgers right now. It's not, this is very quick, then I'm coming back to the NFL. I'm afraid about the Dodgers right now because for a team that is built on chicks dig the long ball, for a team that is built on going and bringing their big dongs all over America, this team is winning a bunch of 2-1 ball games. This team is winning a bunch of 1-0 ball games. This team is winning a bunch of 1-run ball games. If that team, again, comprised primarily of a bunch of dudes with big dongs, just hitting homers everywhere, can go win a bunch of 2-1, 3-2, 1-0 games, they're deadly, dude. They're deadly. We'll come back to baseball later on in the show. But I was not as locked in on the 2 Monday Night Football games last night as I ordinarily am. I will circle back around today and do a little film study on these 2 games. But based on what I saw, the 2 teams that I think we would have expected to be your 2 winners last night, that would have been the Bills on the road at Atlanta and the Commanders over the Bears, would have been my picks for straight up winners last night. I would have gone 0 for 2. And yet, they both lost. Granted, in very different ways. The Bills were just off last night. But the thing is, that's 2 weeks in a row. Because remember, they lost to the Patriots last weekend, and they looked bad in that game. And I would take you back 1 week before that. The week before that, the Bills played the Saints, and they did not look good against New Orleans. New Orleans was in that game for 3.5 quarters before Buffalo finally broke it open down the stretch. So I don't know what to make of the Bills right now. Now, I do have some thoughts. The first of which is that defense is paper thin. I mean, just wet paper towel thin right now. Bijan Robinson, who, let me be abundantly clear, I love Bijan Robinson. I wish he was good. I wish he played for anybody but Atlanta, right? Like, as a Saints fan, I wish he played for anybody but Atlanta so that I could enjoy him without hating his football team all the time. I wish he was doing this in Seattle. I wish he was doing this in, I was going to say Cleveland, but I take solace in the misery. That doesn't work for me, brother. Of Cleveland fans as well. Bijan Robinson's a dog. Bijan Robinson is absolutely killing it right now. In his last 5 games, he's only had 1 where he went for under 75 yards. He rushed for only 24 yards on 12 carries all the way back on September 7th in the season opener against Tampa Bay. Since then, 143, 72, but averaged 5.5 yards a carry, 75 against Washington, averaged 4.4 a carry, and last night, 170 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Oh, and if that wasn't enough for you, Bijan also had 6 grabs for 68 yards as well. Drake London is going to catch later on today a
is not real
award. 10 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Michael Penix Jr., 20 of 32, 250, and a tutty on his stat line as well. Atlanta's not a bad football team. This is part of the reason that I said coming into the year, I absolutely will not be shocked if Atlanta wins the NFC South. I'm not going to pick them to, because I will not pick them to until they do, and they change the entire narrative that floats around that football team. But I wouldn't be shocked if they do. They've got a good offense. They've got the dudes. If Michael Penix Jr. is a dude, they've got the dudes. Looked like a dude last night. That being said, Buffalo's defense is atrocious right now. And I was having the conversation with a buddy of mine last night, buddy of the show, Jack, who is a big Bills guy. And I know we got a lot of Bills fans in the audience around here. So if any of you Bills Mafia are listening, 844-326-3663, I would like to give you an opportunity not to talk to Lonzo, to talk to me about what is going on with your football team. Because this team is built right now with a ton of offensive firepower.
Call in and cry. Come on, call in and cry.
I got to tell you, that's a lot of talk from a 3-3 team, pal. That's a lot of talk for a team that doesn't have as many wins as Buffalo does. Maybe not the time for a Chiefs fan, yeah?
By the way, you can't stop me.
No, I know I can't.
I don't care.
I can't say I can't.
My team could be winless right now, and I'm still going to make fun of Buffalo.
Okay, I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Just like, until they take it away, I'm going to do this. That's just who I am.
Ain't no hate like football hate. The Bills have a paper-thin defense right now. And I think we have hit a point of the season. If I can take you back to, I was going to say last year in the playoffs, I think I could say the last 3 years in the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills. I've had the same take about this football team in all 3 years. And that take on this football team in all 3 years has been, if you are coming into games and the expectation is, worry not, have no fear, for the great one, Josh Allen, is here. You're going to lose. And that's true about anybody. It's true about Lamar. It's true about Mahomes. It's true about Josh Allen. It's true about Baker Mayfield. If you come into a game and your team plays like booty cheeks because you have the mentality of, welp, we'll just ask Josh Allen, or Patty Mack, or Baker Mayfield. Sorry, Baker, since I'm doing the nickname wagon right now. We'll just ask our guy to put his underoos on the outside and tie on his cape and save us, Joshua. You're going to have a bad time. Because if nobody else is able to open up the floor for that guy to then do the things that guy does, you're screwed, bro. Like, that is what happened to the Chiefs in their 3 losses. Nobody else was doing. And granted, again, much like Detroit right now, same situation. A lot of game-impacting injuries. Detroit's got like 8 defensive guys that are out right now. Same with the Ravens. That's why I got the can't spill cup going now, Zoe.
Yeah, I think if there's a way no, please.
Well, I can't if I do it that.
Yeah, don't do that.
The Detroit Lions right now. The Detroit Lions, same situation. The Ravens right now, same situation. The Ravens in their last 2 losses have had a minimum of 6 defensive starters unavailable. There are problems. And when you have that many guys that are out, it crosses from the land of excuses into the land of reasons. If you are missing 6 starters, that's a reason you lose. You can hit me all day with the platitude of next man up. But if you're the next man up, you're the next man up because you ain't the man, dog. I'm trying to make your team look better.
By the way, we weren't even talking about my team.
We are talking about your team. We're talking about the Lions. We're talking about the Ravens.
We're talking about what happened to Buffalo last night, I thought.
We're talking about that. I'm talking about everybody in the NFL there are a lot of teams
Sounds like
right
you're
now
trying to deflect off the fact that Buffalo's not very good.
No, see, you're again, like, you're taking the opportunity to dunk on Buffalo. That's fine, but your team's in the same boat.
Nah, they're not.
This is the same. If somebody came in here this morning and said all the same things about your team, they'd still be true, and you'd get upset about it.
I don't
be
know.
like, oh, everybody's hating on us.
Why is this about me?
But you're making it about you. You're dunking on the Bills.
I have never in my life made things about me.
You're dunking on the Bills right now when it's a segment about your team and the Ravens and the Lions and the Bills and the Packers and a lot of other teams that aren't where we thought they would be coming up on halfway through the season. So
dunking on a team that you don't like, that's football, baby.
I don't disagree.
That's what you do.
But this is one of those spots where we separate from Rob Brown's not a fan, Lonzo is a fan. Like, this ain't a fan take. This is an analyst take. Like, this ain't a fan take. This is here's what's happening objectively.
You know what it could sound like that there's a team that was projected to do really well. They did not last night. And so you group them in with a bunch of other teams to try to lessen the fact that they are not living up to expectations.
Neither are you.
Those other teams may be, but those teams played Sunday, and we're talking about the teams who played on Monday.
But it's all part and parcel.
Is it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's every team that sucked in week 6.
You would think that you would take the opportunity. Wait,
your team didn't suck in week 6. Your team played well.
Wait. I get it. I understand why this is taken, because Atlanta won. That's what this is. That's because you hate Atlanta. Atlanta won. They beat Buffalo.
No, see, again,
so you don't want to. Okay,
your inability to not take off your fan cap doesn't mean I have that inability.
All right.
I not just take. That is that's my bread and butter. That's my pride and joy. That's
You're
my
the
baby
only
boy.
one wearing a hat in the room. I'm just saying.
It's a metaphorical hat. So, with that being said, I think a good part of the reason that the NFL looks as wonky as it looks right now, and there is not a clear separation from anybody to anybody. I mean, yes, we know the teams that are at the bottom of the barrel. We know the teams that aren't going to do anything.
Who that said they're going to beat them?
All right, now you are making it. Now you are going too far. Now it is personal.
Well, that's what you were doing.
Yes, my team sucks. We all know it. We know my team sucks. We know the Giants. Well, actually, I was going to say, do we know the Giants suck right now?
We don't.
They're 2-4, but we don't know they suck.
They are the most entertaining 2-4 team out there.
Yeah, they're 2-4. The Bears don't suck, as I tried to tell you. The Bears don't suck. They don't suck. They just won last night. If you're going based on what happened last night's the priority, the Bears just beat the Commanders.
They did.
And the Commanders are a good football team.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. They're 3-3 just like your team.
Why do you always come back to that? I just don't.
Here are the teams that suck right now. The Dolphins suck. The Jets suck. The Ravens suck. The Browns suck. And again, I want to be very clear.
All right. Who's the worst team in the NFL? I asked earlier who's the best.
The Jets.
Okay.
The Jets.
Right. I think we can agree on
the Jets. The teams that suck. The Dolphins suck. The Jets suck. The Ravens suck. But let's see what happens when Lamar comes back. Because, yes, while one guy cannot go win you games, they can help a lot.
That hamstring looks really bad. That might be season ending.
I think at this point it's fair to say, no, he's banged up. If you want to say he walked out of the Chiefs game, that's fine. To miss 2 more weeks after it, no, he's banged up. But we'll see if that changes. The Browns suck. I don't think the Texans suck, but they're not good. The Titans suck. They fired Brian Callahan yesterday. Which we're going to talk about later because yet another rookie quarterback sees the franchise stink and ate all the blame for it. The Raiders stink. Like, the Cowboys are 2-3. Are they a bad team? They just lost to Carolina, but I don't think Carolina's a bad team. I don't think they're good.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're a bad team.
Wow, that counts. They're not bad, but they're not good.
They're 3-3.
What's in between good and bad? Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. But I think that's where the Cowboys are. I think right now, and this is a compliment for the record, I think that's where the Giants are. I don't think there's anybody in the NFC North that's bad. The only team out of the NFC South that's bad is the Saints. And, I think the Cardinals are bad at 2-4. Everybody in the West is 4-2. Like, we don't have there's a lot of teams at the bottom, but there's nobody that has just separated themselves from the pack. And I think that is it is unlike college football, where we're starting to see the pecking order take shape halfway through the season. We're not quite halfway through the season with the NFL, but there's no pecking order at the top. There's none. There's a big group of these teams might be good, and then a bunch more teams of these teams might also be good. You know what will be good? Definitely and for sure. Lonzo Sports Flash.
I don't know. I feel like I've been trod upon for the last 10 minutes for some reason. Chicago Bears now 3-2 with a 25-24 win over the Commanders. The Bears trailed by 2 with 3 minutes left when the Commanders fumbled a handoff near midfield. Caleb Williams led a drive that led to a Jake Moody 38-yard walk-off field goal. The Atlanta Falcons are 3-2 after a 24-14 win over Buffalo. Michael Penix Jr. went 20 of 32 for 250 and a touchdown, while Bijan Robinson carried 19 times for 170 yards and a touchdown and added 68 receiving yards. Josh Allen threw 2 touchdowns but was picked off twice, including a late game takeaway that sealed the Falcons' win. Seattle Mariners are up 2-0 in the ALCS after a 10-3 win over Toronto. Logan Gilbert gave up all 3 runs in just 3 innings. Seattle got 3-run homers from Jorge Polanco and Jorge Rodriguez, and a 2-run shot from Josh Naylor. Apparently, I don't know how to say Atlanta. Or I'm starting to speak like the Utes when they say Moton and they forget the T's and stuff. I don't know. I'm going to go scataboo the wall with my head and then I'll feel better. That's what I'm going to do.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate, the foremost electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment you will find anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo and you. Phone line's open for you. 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. Y'all are remarkably quiet this morning, and I do not appreciate it. Greenville, Spartanburg, and entire surrounding metropolitan area. I need more. I need a little gas, a little electricity this AM. I need you to participate. 844-326-3663. Shoot me a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, Lonzo at Lonzo on Word, or Body up in the hizzy at The Fan Upstate across the social mediums if you'd like to get to us there. If you got something more long format, you don't want to get on the air with it, rob.brown at thefanupstate.com, rob.brown at thefanupstate.com if you want to get at us in that direction. We are all over the map this AM. We've got a lot that we need to talk about this AM. We will continue to talk about it all this morning, but it is 7:02 in the AM portion of the day. You now have less than 58 minutes until you got to get your butt up and out of bed. You got to get your coffee. You got to get your breakfast. You got to knock that back. You got to shower. You got to get dressed, go through your morning routine. You got to get in the car. You got to go to work. You've got to sit down at the desk. You got to get that big yawn out. You got to write down your emails, do all that stuff. You got to pretend that you care about being at work and not show the world that you're really just there to kill time until we get to Thursday and football's back, baby. How do you kill time at work? You talk sports like adults. You walk down the hallway, you go to the break room, you stand over in that dark, not well-lit corner where the boss can't see that you're just killing time, earning a paycheck until Thursday rolls around, and you talk sports. But you've got to know what's going on in the world of sports, don't you? You do, and that is why we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Are you guys sniffing on newsprint or something?
before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Ask and ye shall receive. Text line open. I said y'all are too quiet. I need you in the game. I got 2 texts right out of the gate. Lefty Tiger wrote the show. He said the Falcons have got me rethinking about jumping ship. Where did this team come from? Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. That's the team, Lefty Tiger, that Rob Brown said I wouldn't be shocked if they win the division. I'm not going to pick them until they do that, but that's the team I thought we were going to see. Yeah, and I think you'll see more of it.
I don't think I get too happy that we're playing a lesser team in Buffalo. We'll see what happens when they play a more competitive NFL team.
Texas said, I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, just trying to wake up. Rob, I don't have any cohesive thoughts yet. You know what? I understand that. I got to tell you, I have to get up to be ready at 6. I have to get up at 3:45 a.m. And usually, I'm almost ready to go at 6 a.m. As I think anybody who listens to the show, any 6 a.m.ers out there are very aware.
Some days are worse than others.
Texas said, I saw an article where Matt Rule is denying he would ever leave Nebraska for Penn State, but they're saying he's the front runner. What are your thoughts? Don't worry, Texter. I'm getting to that in mere moments.
Yeah, he's actually addressed it.
He did, and we're going to talk about that. And a texter said, I was yawning, as you said, to get that big yawn out. It's 6 a.m. Yeah, it's completely forgivable.
So was I. That's why he did it.
Yeah, that's why I said that. Lonzo was over there with his jaw unhinged like a boa constrictor trying to get one out.
I had my mouth covered. Thank you very much.
Item number 1. It is the American and National League Championship Series taking place right now. And both games played last night. It was game 2 in the American League Championship. The Seattle Mariners were able to steal game 1 on the road at the Blue Jays, the 1 seed v. the 2 seed on the ALCS side. The Mariners stole both games away from Toronto in Toronto, which means that they head back to Seattle. It's a 2-3-2 format, meaning the next 3 games are all in Seattle, Washington. And it also means that the Mariners must win just 2 of those 3 to punch their ticket to the World Series. Last night for the Mariners, it was Logan Gilbert who got the start. And it was not a great start from an ace. 3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs allowed in those 3 innings. Cade just 2. But after that, Bizardo, Vargas, and Hancock all pitched 2 innings. They combined for 1 hit, no runs, and a K per pitcher. Through the run, 30, 36, and 39 pitches, respectively, between Bizardo, Vargas, and Hancock. On the flip side, Trey Yesavage, who was Yesavage in his game where he made his debut in the MLB postseason against the Yankees, not so much last night. 4 innings, allowed 4 hits, 5 runs, all earned, walked 3, K'd 4 in his effort last night. Listen, I'm pulling for this kid. Like, Trey Yesavage is a beaut of a pitcher, at least in terms of the story. This man went through every single level of the Blue Jays organization to finally make his way to the big league roster and showed out in game number 1. Last night, he went up against a spectacular lineup out of the Seattle Mariners. That lineup for the Mariners, 10 hits last night, but much as they have been doing all year long, the Mariners said, "We got big dongs for you, Toronto." How about a trio of them last night? Jorge Polanco in the 5th inning off of Varlin with 2 on, a 3-run shot. Josh Naylor, a 7th inning shot with 1 on and 1 out. And Julio Rodriguez.
I hate you right now.
It's talent. I learned it. A 1st inning 3-run shot to get the scoring started for the Mariners. They were up 3-0. Now, Toronto would climb back in. They put 2 runs on the board in the 1st. They put another run on the board in the 2nd. It was 3-3 into the 3rd. But then it was all the M's down the stretch. The Polanco dong to center, scoring a Rosarena and Raleigh. Crawford single to left and scored Rivas in the top of the 6th, made it 7-3. Naylor with the big dong to right, 359 to score he and Polanco, 9-3. And then Crawford with the sac fly to center to score Eugenio Suarez in the top of the 7th. That made it 10-3. And at that point, the M's just rode that bad boy out. Mariners up 2-0 in the ALCS, headed back to Seattle for games 3, 4, and 5. Over in the NLCS, started last night. Game 1 goes the way of the LA Dodgers. Let me tell you why I'm terrified of this baseball team. This is a baseball team that was expected to make a run through the playoffs based on their big dogs. Here's the thing. They're winning a bunch of low-scoring 1-run games. Like, the over-under in Dodgers games are always like 7.5, 8.5, 9.5. There were 3 runs scored last night, and the Dodgers win. They did it twice against the Phillies, winning run games. If this Dodgers team can beat you in 1-run games, in low-scoring 1-run games, in under-hitting 1-run games, they are the best team in baseball. Because we know that they can pop off for 12 any given night. That was never the question. The question is, what happens if there is a night where they're held to 5 or 6 or 7 hits? What happens if there is a night where the chicks can't dig the long ball because there ain't none? Then what happens? The answer is the Dodgers still win. Last night, Blake Snell, an absolute gem, went 8 innings, faced the minimum in 8 innings. He got every single one of the 24 that he faced the minimum. 8 innings, 1 hit allowed, K'd 10, 103 pitches, a .86 ERA in the postseason for Blake Snell. Roki Sasaki came in, and Sasaki threatened to give it up. Sasaki's been one of the better out-of-the-bullpen guys of anybody in the postseason. Last night, not his night. 0.2 innings pitch, gave up a hit, gave up a run, walked 2 on 22 pitches before giving way to Blake Trinan, who just had to come in and get the final out. No big deal, right? Yeah. Except for the bases were juiced when Trinan came in to get that final out, and he got that final out. Recorded with the save was Blake Trinan. Over on the other side, just 7 hits, by the way, for the Dodgers. The big one, a Freddie Freeman dong in the 6th that gave the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. Mookie would walk in a run with the bases juiced in the top of the 9th to make it a 2-0 game. Milwaukee did get one in the bottom of the 9 before they went to Trinan, and they were able to close it out. 7 hits last night, 2 hits for the Milwaukee Brewers. You're not going to win games if you're getting 2 hitters. Like, you're just not going to win games with 2 hits. It can't happen. I don't care if the Dodgers only score 2. This is a problem for the Brew Crew. If you can go out there and you can have your pitchers hold the Dodgers to 2, you better win the game. But the problem that the Brew Crew is going to have, and the problem for either Seattle or Toronto, whoever faces the Dodgers in the World Series, because the Dodgers, as much as I loved, and for the record, picked the Brewers to go to the World Series over the Dodgers. As much as I love the Brew Crew and I'm pulling for them, I think this one's almost already in the books. We'll find out. Let's get to item number 2. 2 Monday Night Football games went down last night. We start with the Bills and the Falcons. 24-14, Atlanta gets the dub in the upset win over Buffalo last night. Michael Penix Jr., 20 of 32, 250, and a tutty. But when later on in the next hour of the show, we give away our award, we're going to have a tandem pick for the Atlanta Falcons because Bijan Robinson, 19 totes, a $170, and a tutty on the ground. And that boy good. The Atlanta receiving core, well, Bijan Robinson also had 68 yards receiving on 6 catches, but it was Drake London who said, yeah, I can still play you guys. 10 grabs, a $158, and a tutty for Drake London over on the other side. The Bills did rush for 134. 87 of them go to James Cook III, but no touchdowns on the ground for Buffalo, which is quite unusual. They're usually good for a tutty or 2 in the ground game, at least in the red zone. The problem was they kept getting into the red zone and doing nothing with it, including late in the game when the Bills had an opportunity to make it a 1-score game late. Josh Allen threw one of the 2 interceptions that he had last night. 15 to 26, a $180, 2 tutties, 2 picks, a QB rating of 72.6. Did not think that I would end the night by saying Michael Penix Jr. straight up outdueled Josh Allen, who lost 50% of his Josh Allens last night. If he has another game like this next week, nope, not next week because Buffalo's going on the bye. If he has another game like this the week after that, he might, for the first time in the history of the Rob Brown Show, just be Josh Allen. That's not true. There was a really bad 2-week stretch last week when he was just Josh for a minute.
It was just
we dropped everything.
Yeah, it's just Josh. But on this side, he's already just Josh.
Well, you're a hater. You're a haters, man.
So?
Over in the other game, 25-24, the Chicago Bears. As Rob Brown told you they would be, sometimes it's the franchise, not the quarterback. The Bears might not be a bad team. 3-2 on the season after a 25-24 win over the Washington Commanders. Caleb Williams, 17 of 29, 252, and 1 touchdown last night. On the flip side, Jane Daniels, 19 of 26, 211, 3 touchdowns, but was picked off one time. DeAndre Swift was the game changer in this one. 14 totes, a $108 on the ground for DeAndre Swift. He also had 67 receiving yards and an aerial tutty in this one. On the flip side, Washington had this game won. They had this game in the bag. They had this game wrapped up, but Daniels to Krosky Merritt late in the game. They call him Bill. Late in the game, a botched handoff resulted in a fumble recovered by the Bears. The Bears went from the 50 down to a 38-yard field goal and watched their boy, Jake Moody, send everybody in Chicago home with a good Moody by knocking down the 38-yard walk-off. The Commanders, 25-24 fall to the Chicago Bears last night. Let's get to item number 3. I have got a couple of quick-hit college football stories for you here. The first, Bill Belichick spoke for the first time yesterday since the reports this past weekend that he and the North Carolina come on and raise up Tar Heels were communicating about a potential buyout. There was a report that came out last week that said that, or I should say over the weekend, that said that Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels were having conversations about a buyout. North Carolina was trying to find some way that they could lower the buyout to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick had reportedly had a conversation with North Carolina that said, if I can find a job either on another team or in the media that will pay me a decent amount, then I will buy out of the contract. I'll give you $1 million and I'll hit the road, Jack, and not come back no mo. Bill Belichick spoke out yesterday and said that those reports were, and I quote, categorically false. End quote. He said, quote, there's zero truth to any of that. I'm glad I'm here. We're working toward our goals. We believe very much in the process. We just need to keep working and grinding away. And that's exactly what we're doing. When asked what the hell went wrong, Bill, because your team's real bad at football, he said that there were, quote, things we could have done better, end quote. He went on to defend general manager Michael, I use a typewriter because I'm 70 Lombardi, as, quote, has done a good job, end quote, reiterating that the timing of the hire of Belichick and Lombardi put North Carolina behind other schools in terms of talent acquisition, and said that regardless of the on-field results for the 2-3 team, North Carolina, he believes, has made major strides in its performance. No, but hey, to each their own. Am I right?
If you go from being graded at a negative to being graded at like 2, that's like a major.
That's true. No one's grading them at 2. No one.
I'm talking
they're
about
still a negative.
his own personal grades. I'm not. I mean, you know.
I mean, I guess maybe Hoodie thinks they're better than they are, but like no one else does. Belichick said it's a quote, it's a learning curve. We're all in it together, but we're making a lot of progress, and the process will eventually produce the results we want, like they have everywhere else I've been. That I had Tom Brady. Okay, I added the last part. That was me. That was editorial freedom there. Penn State's athletic director yesterday, Pat Kraft, took to the microphone, and he had some comments. So I'm going to play some of the audio for you later on in the show. But he said, quote, I'm here to win a national championship, and I believe our fans deserve that. Penn State, of course, fired James Franklin Sunday after 12 seasons following an 0-3 start in conference play. Why? Well, Kraft said that this is not a this is not a 3-game thing. This is really diving where we are as a program. What's the trajectory of this program? Kraft noted that the athletic department will cover the $49 million buyout that Franklin is owed, the second biggest behind only Jimbo Fisher's $76 million buyout. Why did I not get into coaching? Why did I not get into coaching? I would also like to point out, and I didn't even think about mentioning this yesterday, that $49 million buyout, Alonzo, also comes at the same time that they're doing $700 million in renovations to Beaver Stadium last night. The Adidas story grew some legs yesterday. There were a couple of folks a little bit higher up in media than your boy Rob Brown that started to toy around with the theory that maybe Adidas made the call. Penn State switching from Nike to Adidas. Adidas coming in, they want that team plastered on the college football landscape when they take over. And so there's a lot of smoke out there now that Adidas made the call and was like, yo, go ahead and make the move. Like, start getting ready for when we take over, because this ain't it. So we're going to talk more about this. Not just because I think there was something very interesting that the AD said in the press conference, audio from that coming up here in just a moment, but also the coaching carousel is spinning around at about 1,000 RPMs right now. There are 3 names that I have heard as front runners for the Penn State job right now. I'm going to tell you who those 3 are. And I'm going to tell you why. As much as Penn State thinks that they are the blue blood, the definition of what college football is aspiring to be, Penn State can't have Curt Cignetti. They can't have him. And I'll tell you why, because I think it actually says something about the college football landscape in its entirety. I'll talk about that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I will.
All right, guys, stay right there. I'll be right back. Got to do a live read, and then we're coming back to your comments next. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Penn State fires James Franklin after a dozen years at the helm. We already knew that was a possibility. We mentioned yesterday that against AP top 10 teams, James Franklin has a win percentage of 16% over those 12 years at Penn State. Now, you can talk all the livelong day about the fact that he averaged double-digit wins, that they were a 10-win team on average under James Franklin. You can talk about the point that every single year Penn State was one of the teams we were discussing coming into the season under James Franklin. You can talk about the fact that, and I do believe this to be true, from every story I've ever heard, James Franklin is a dude, man. Like, he's a good dude. He loves football. He loves his players, much like Dabo Swinney. I have yet, though obviously not nearly as many of them as Clemson bros, in all the years that I have been doing this, I have never met anybody who has had any connection to James Franklin, who has had a negative word to say about the guy. Relentless optimist. I appreciate that. My old man used to say, there were two things he said to me all the time. One was focus or stay focused. I have that quite literally tattooed on my arm in my dad's handwriting. The other thing he used to say to me was never stop being a relentless optimist. Like, that was his thing. It doesn't matter how bad it is. If you can make yourself see the good, if you can make yourself see the good and drive towards the good, you'll be able to figure anything out. And I believe in that. James Franklin is that. Like, he is an embodiment of that. Stayed focused, always an optimist here. But here's the reality about college football. Whether you like it or not, the end game is championships for the big schools, right? I heard, and y'all know I love Josh Pate. I love Josh Pate. I think he does a stellar job. I think, and I mean this, I think Josh Pate is the best thing going in college football right now. I think he is right now, as far as I'm concerned, Josh Pate is the voice of college football. And that takes a lot for one broadcaster to say about another broadcaster. I think Josh Pate's the best thing college football has going for it right now. I think he has well-reasoned, well-thought-out takes. They are not hot takes. He has fun doing the job, but he knows ball and he takes it seriously at the same time. It is everything that I do my best to embody when I talk about college football. We're going to have fun. We're going to goof off. We're going to bring some electricity to the mic. But at the same time, people take it seriously. And so while I like to have a good time and goof off, I'm also going to take it seriously. However, I heard Josh Pate's take on this. He said, look, just because you're not on the bottom rung of the ladder or the top rung of the ladder, like, the nature of a ladder is that there are several rungs to it. That's what he said about it. And he said Penn State was way closer to the top rung than the bottom. And that's all well and good. But the reality is, whether you like it or not, championships are the goal. That's the goal. And we can say anything we want about producing quality young men. But we have had some really good men who have brought great leaders out of the program fired because they don't win. That is the goal. Now, if you want to try to change that, have at. That's on you. I'm going to tell you, you are not just up against the brick wall. You're up through like Fort Knox between you and change it to where it's not about winning first. That's the mentality. And it is certainly the mentality for teams that are at the top of their conferences like Penn State. The reality is, Penn State fans were tired of being 10-2 and never getting a Big Ten title, never winning a national championship. They great. It is the exact illustration of the old catchphrase, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's what was that movie? 27 Dresses. Penn State was 27 Dresses. Rob Brown, listen.
Really?
Yes. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. I don't care what you say. It's a great movie. I love that movie. It's a great movie. Judge me.
Right.
So, Penn State was 27 Dresses. There was a joke going around for a very long time that Rob Brown was a combination of two of my favorite movies, 27 Dresses and Good Luck Chuck. Because from the age like 17 to 39, I mean this, I have been in as a groomsman, as a best man, or as an officiant. I have been in, and I counted. And I'm adding, because I'm in 2 next year. When I'm done with those 2, I will have been in, Lonzo, 26 wedding parties. 26.
That is a testament to your ability to make friends.
1,000%. I was in 24 weddings before I had my own. I was 3 away from literally being 27 tuxes. They're going to make a movie about me. And good luck, Chuck, because I had a very long string of women that I dated that married the next guy that they dated. Like I was on a heater there for a few minutes. It was a running gag. That's Penn State. That's Penn State. They've been in 24 weddings and they ain't got married yet. At some point, you got to go, I got to change me. It's awesome that all these people think that I'm a great friend. It's awesome that all these people hold me in such high regard. I am proud of the fact that I have been in so far 24 weddings, adding 2 more to the rotation next year. I take great pride in that because that says to me that means that there are around these great United States 24 people, soon to be 26 people that look at me and go, this guy's been such an important part of our life. I want him standing up here on the most important day of our lives. That means something to me. But at the same time, I got to tell you, as much as I don't want to be that guy, what a softy. Around wedding 22, 23, it was kind of like, dog, do I ever get to do this? Like, is it ever going to be my turn? And granted, I'm glad I waited because I found a stone cold stunner of a woman that made it worth the wait. But like, I think a lot of people have been there. Like, when the hell is it going to be my turn? That's Penn State. So it makes sense that they made the move. It makes sense that they said, yes, we might be on the second to the top rung of the ladder. And there might be a whole lot of people down there behind me. A lot. Most college football teams would kill to have their team have a dozen years of 10-2. A dozen years where every year you're a threat to win the championship, at least in your conference. And a lot of those years, the national championship. But at some point, like, nobody's ever hung a banner for preseason pick to win the national championship. Nobody's ever won nobody's hung a banner for Big Ten runners up. I mean, you can hang a banner, but let's be real. We would make fun of you for that, right? If SMU hung a banner that said 2025 ACC almost the champions, they get drugged for it. We don't do that. We are about winning. We're about titles and banners. Now, again, if you want to change it, good luck. I wish you the best. I hope you do. I do think, and I've said this before, I wish more fans could adopt the mentality of just enjoying the game for the game, the competition for the competition, the athletic prowess for the athletic prowess. But we don't. The mentality of America is win or nothing. And I hope it changes, but that's where we are. So there's 2 sides to this story that I think are important. The first is, we told you yesterday that there was a little bitty baby report with not a lot of legs to it. But there was a report yesterday as Penn State is getting close to switching from Nike to Adidas. There was a rumor yesterday that Adidas, who will start a 10-year deal worth north of $300 million in cash, and that then there will be merchandise and name, image, and likeness funding and all that. That thing could be worth $500 million, the partnership between Penn State and Adidas. The rumor is that because, look, if you're Adidas, like, it's great to have the badge on the jersey of one of the most visible football teams in America, but let's keep it a buck. You want your teams winning championships. You don't just want Penn State on, Fox Sports on a Saturday at noon playing UCLA wearing the Adidas logo. You want them playing on January 19th in the national championship game wearing that Adidas logo. And under James Franklin, they just weren't going to get there. They just weren't. He had a dozen years, couldn't get there. Most coaches don't get a dozen years not winning a title, like at a school that size. It just doesn't happen. So I still don't know, just so we're clear. I don't believe that it is true or untrue. I do not have a stance on whether it's true or untrue that Adidas pulled the trigger, but it would make sense if they did.
So what do they do if they did pull the trigger and the next coach can't do what James Franklin did?
Then you go 3 or 4 years and you do it again.
I'm talking about, what does Adidas do?
You're already locked in for $300 million plus. Now, the question would be, if Adidas did do this, did they add another shadow $49 million to the pot and go, here's how you're going to play, James? Like, take it out of that and we will make it up somewhere else. We'll get you another 49 mil. Like, I don't know how, and I don't know that we're going to know any of that, because I don't think Penn State is ever going to come out and say, yeah, our new uniform sponsor, so we have to change our coach. Because let's keep it a buck. If you're a fan and you find out that your uniform sponsor is making your coaching decisions. Now, you're probably not going to love that. I know I would.
Do you believe it's easy to find a consistent 10-2 winning coach?
I absolutely do not.
Neither do I.
I absolutely do not. And there is absolutely a chance that the next guy shows up and fails miserably. But here's what else I know. What else I know is a dozen years of losing 8 out of every 10 games against top 10 teams. I mean it when I say that might be more frustrating than the occasional 8-4, 7-5 year, right? Like, I would say it would be frustrating to be a team that every now and then is 11-1 and every now and then is 10-2, every now and then plays for and wins a conference championship and gets close to a natty. You know what else I think it would be frustrating to do? Every year get close, but never bleeping do it. So it would make sense to me if Adidas did this, if Adidas made the call. I'm not saying they did. I don't know. There's not enough information for me to arrive at a conclusion. What I'd say is it would make sense to move on from a guy who averages 10 wins a year if he averages 10 wins a year but has not put a trophy in the trophy case yet. That's a different story. And I think that's where we are. Now, when we come back, there are 2 names that have jumped up regularly for the Penn State job. One of them I think is very much in play. The other one is, I think, the one that Penn State fans want the most. And I'm going to tell you, Nittany Lion fans, you can't have Curt Cignetti. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is not because I think there's a huge Penn State base listening to the show right now that is really tuned in and curious. I think there are a few. But the reason I bring it up is because
we moved down here for a reason.
Exactly. I mean, there's a few. I don't think it's like a chunk of our audience.
I'm talking about everyone from the north that moves here.
The reason that I bring this up is because I think this is a reflection on the new era of college football that will impact not just Penn State, but every college football team at some point in the future. I'll tell you what that is next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Just describe Gamecock fans. Yeah, no, I know. Again, and that's going to be one of the things is, let's say Shane Beamer got to a point where he was a guy averaging 9 wins a year. At enough years of being 9-3, at some point you're going to go 9-3 is not good enough anymore. Get us to 10-2. And then eventually 10-2 goes to 11-1. And then 11-1 goes to get us in the SEC title game. And then eventually it's win us the SEC title. And then it's eventually win us a natty. At some point you become a victim of your own success. That's just a reality in this and every other industry. At some point you become a victim of your own success. And I think James Franklin became a victim of his own success. Y'all stay right there. I'll be right back.
Before you math, always think, what would Scott Steiner do?
Penn State looking for their new head coach. Now, I'm going to have this conversation very quickly, and I would like to have this conversation because I do think it is going to impact every single college and/or university. And it may not be now, it may not be next year, it may be in the next 7-10 years, but at some point, I think the new era of college football is going to impact in this regard, what Penn State is going through, every single football program. And in fact, one of the reasons that I understand, and I don't like it because, again, I really do like James Franklin, but I understand the decision to fire James Franklin, and I don't think it was a bad decision, was because as more teams jump into the coaching carousel, this is going to become an even bigger reality for those teams. Let me start by playing you yesterday. Penn State Athletic Director Pat Kraft got on a microphone, and I'm just going to play you one clip, but Pat was asked, what are you looking for in the next Penn State University head coach?
Our next coach will be someone who embodies everything Penn State stands for: integrity, accountability, toughness, humility, and an elite motivator. We'll find a coach who can achieve excellence at the highest level, doing it with confidence and conviction. Recruiting will always be a pillar here. We want someone who will attract elite talent, retain players in the NIL era, and make Penn State a destination. This is also about the modern era of college football. Our next coach needs to be able to maximize elite level resources, attack the transfer portal, and develop at the highest level. This person has to fit Penn State. They need to represent the toughness, the blue-collar work ethic, and the class that defines this institution. We want someone who honors our tradition but isn't afraid to evolve, someone who understands the weight of we are and leads us forward with a vision of championships.
So I got to be honest with you. When I heard that clip yesterday from Pat Kraft, the athletic director at Penn State University, the first reaction that I had, because I am an a-hole sometimes, was to make fun of him. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm actually really good with it. Let me tell you why. He started off with the platitudes. You got to give the platitudes out of the gate. We need somebody who is going to be a model of integrity, accountability, toughness. Like, yeah, okay, cool. I don't think any athletic director making a hire has ever been like, yeah, we're not really worried if he has integrity. We're not really worried if he has accountability. We're not really worried if he has toughness or not. Like, yes, of course, everybody wants those roles. Like, yes, those are traits you have to have. But then he started getting into the other stuff. We need somebody who's a motivator. Again, I want you to look around the landscape of college football over the past, let's just say 5 years. And I want you to find me a good football coach right now, like a top flight football coach who does not have the motivator tag attached to them. Kurt Cignetti, motivator. Dan Lanning, motivator. Kirby Smart, motivator. Kalen DeBoer, motivator. Like, you look around the top flight of college football, Steve Sarkisian, motivator. They're all that. You have to be that. Then he said, we need somebody who is going to lean into recruiting. Because look at all the teams that have tried to build a team out of the portal. Florida State got lucky that they stumbled into Jordan Travis. Outside of that, Mike Norvell building the Noles out of the portal every year has been an abject failure. They were 2-10 last year. They might be bowl eligible this year. Might be. You have to recruit still, right? This was my take when the portal started up and y'all were mad at it. I'm like, guys, you think recruiting's dead? It's not. You still have to recruit and you have to be damn good at it. Cool. Then he said, we've got to have somebody who makes Penn State a destination. I don't disagree. This was part of the thing for me because you go, how easy is it to find a coach that's 10-2 on average? It's not very easy, but you got to put a trophy in the trophy case every now and then because whether you like it or not, kids that are quality enough to play for a team like Penn State, they want to win things. They want to win. And No kid, I don't think, has ever been recruited out of high school and picked a school. And when asked, hey, why'd you pick that school? They go, well, because, I was really excited about going 10-2 every year. No, they want to win stuff. And there are some kids that are willing to go to lesser schools because they believe I'll be the reason we do win stuff. But most kids, this is why the rich get richer and the best teams stay on top for a very long time. Because once you win some stuff, kids go, how do you think Nick Saban kept getting NFL dude after NFL dude after NFL dude? Because he did two things. He put trophies in the trophy case, and he sent a bunch of guys to the league. And so you could look a kid in the face out of high school, a 5-star, whatever position you needed, and go, hey, look, you come to Bama, you're going to win some trophies. And if you're that good, we're sending you to the NFL. It's all we do. So, cool. I got that out of him. Then Pat Kraft said, this is about the modern era of college football. It is about maximizing high-level resources. Cool. It is about attacking the transfer portal. Cool. And it is about developing players once they are on campus. Cool. Then he said, it's about somebody who fits Penn State, that represents the blue-collar workers that make up our fan base, that understands the tradition of we are, but also is willing to evolve within it. Guys, every talking point that I have said about what is going to make a successful college coach moving forward, he just hit all of them. I've got 4 pillars of college football coaching. 4 pillars. Player acquisition, recruiting, and out of the portal. Player retention, keep guys in the program and developing once they get there. Because if you get a bunch of guys that come in for a year and then they take off, like your program's worse for it. So acquisition of great recruits and great portal players. Retention, keep them there. So that once you invest into making them the best football player they can be, you get a year or 2 of maximum value out of that. Development, Pat Kraft mentioned that specifically. And then the only thing that he didn't specifically mention, but I think this is the one that is like, yeah, the obvious, is game day execution. Can you go out there on game day, take all the guys that you have acquired, retained, and developed, and on Saturdays, coach them to getting some dubs, which is the one thing James Franklin didn't do. He acquired well, he retained well, he developed well, but they didn't play well on Saturdays, historically over a dozen years. But then there's one more, and I never really made this a foundation, one of the columns of being a great college football coach. But there is a 5th column. The reason I didn't is because I think it is understood, but that is culture. It is playing into your culture. Shane Beamer understood that when he got to Carolina. It's what he does the best. In fact, if he's going to succeed in Columbia, it is because setting the culture there is what is going to bring the other 4 columns into play. Dabo Swinney has built the culture at Clemson that even if you don't want an identical culture, everybody looks at Dabo and goes, how he built the culture is what we should emulate. Maybe not the culture itself. That's theirs. We can't replicate that. But the process of building that culture is what we need to do. Everything that he just mentioned is all stuff I have been screaming for 3 years since the portal came online. The 4 pillars: acquisition, retention, development, execution, and what I think is the foundation under those 4 pillars, a great culture that your fans and your players can connect with. That's great. Now, the part I really wanted to get to. There are 3 names that I have heard as the primary 3 frontrunners for this job. 3 names so far. The first name is a name that I think is the target for Penn State, and that's Curt Cignetti out of Indiana. I don't think you can have him, Penn State. See, I think Penn State fans have this image in their head, which is fair because historically this has been true. But in their head, I think Penn State fans look and they go, yeah, dude, you're at Indiana. You could come to We Are. You're in Bloomington, Indiana, but you could come to Happy Valley. Here's the thing. And I want you to really think about this. Don't knee-jerk react. Really think about it. Over the past 3 years, Curt Cignetti has more top 10 wins than James Franklin did at Penn State. Over the past 3 years, Curt Cignetti has done more at Indiana than James Franklin has done at Penn State. They both went to the playoffs last year. Granted, Penn State got that dub and went to the semis, but they were both in the dance. Indiana was a game last year, a game away from playing for the Big Ten championship, a game. And all of that done without a top-notch quarterback. Now they got one in Fernando Mendoza. Now all of a sudden, I would say the Big Ten championship is Indiana versus Ohio State today. Maybe that changes. Maybe Oregon goes on a barnstorm. Maybe Indiana drops a dumb one somewhere. But Curt Cignetti is all those things that we just mentioned. Has done an excellent job acquiring talent, has done a wonderful job retaining that talent, has obviously developed the Hoosiers into a team, and they're executing on Saturdays. That's why they're undefeated with a win over Oregon.
How are they any different than Indiana? Than Penn State.
That is my point. I think 5 years ago, this is a blasphemous thing to say. But in 2025, I don't think that Indiana is any less quality of a job than Penn State. We talk about that all the time. What's the quality of the job?
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about being able to beat the big teams. Now, you count
because
Oregon.
Indiana is doing that.
What did they do last year?
They beat everybody except the two teams that played in the national championship game. Everybody except them, right? And again,
I'm just saying.
I'm not disagreeing.
It's parallel.
In the past 3 years, Curt Cignetti has more top 10 wins than James Franklin. So the answer is winning more against the best teams than James Franklin did. 10-2, a half game out of playing for a Big Ten title last year, right there in the mix, went to the playoffs. Like the point.
Here's what it's not a step up. I know you love the guy, but it's not a step up getting him. It's more of the same. And I don't know who you're going to get to come in.
I disagree, and here's why. He's doing it at Indiana.
So?
He's doing it in Indiana. Now, the addition to that is going to be that Indiana, if you go and look at athletic department revenue, that is just explicitly money in. I'm not talking about expenses. I'm not talking about NIL or rev share or any of that. I am just explicitly talking about money in. Indiana money in, by way of going to the playoffs last year, by way of being in the mix for everything except the Big Ten championship game, which again, they were a half game away from. Indiana's revenue is not lagging that far behind Penn State. And if Indiana was to say, play for, not even win it, play for a Big Ten title this year, they will go to the playoffs. And if I am correct that because they now have a quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, and they win a playoff game, maybe two, if Indiana, let's say theoretically, was to play for a national semifinal this year. Hell, what if? Because Curt Cignetti.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
What if he goes to the Natty this year? Indiana could, not will, could. Indiana could bank more revenue than Penn State this year. Could. And if Curt Cignetti was to be able to do that for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row and be in that mix for the Big Ten every single year, especially if Penn State flounders a little bit during a coaching transition, Indiana in the next 2 years could be considered. They're not right now. Right now, I would say that if Penn State is Penn State a top tier job? Let's ask the question we ask every offseason. Is Penn State a top tier job?
Yes.
I agree. And here's the hot take. In the new era of college football, Indiana is not even a full rung below them. I think Indiana's right in the next box. Here's the reality in the new era of college football. If you're in the Big Ten or you're in the SEC, there are two tiers. There is tier one, Georgia, Bama. Then there Penn State, Ohio State. Then there's tier two, and that's everybody else. And I'm including Vanderbilt in that. You want to know why I say that?
You left out Michigan.
Okay, you're right, Michigan.
They're having a bad year.
I'm just hitting some top examples. I'm hitting the examples. The examples is top tier teams, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Over in the SEC, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. But I firmly believe that everybody else is in tier two, and tier two's gap to tier one is not that big. And I say that because, and I could even extend this to the ACC, Clark Lee's got Vanderbilt in the driver's seat for the SEC, with the exception of the one loss to Alabama, who I do think is in the driver's seat for the SEC championship this year. I had Georgia over Bama in the title game, and that could still happen. We'll see. But to me, the separation between where Penn State is and Indiana is not a huge separation. And Indiana, because their revenue is going to, I think at the end of this year, match Penn State's revenue in, Indiana can pay Curt Cignetti every dime that Penn State wants to pay Curt Cignetti. I think they can afford that to give him a raise and an extension and keep him locked in Bloomington. And all they have to do is let Penn State screw up the next coaching hire. And then they can jump Penn State. I believe that. The other two names, by the way, Ohio State offensive coordinator Brian Hartline and Nebraska head coach Matt Rule. When we come back, Audio Blitz, got some audio for you I'm going to play. Then we will hand out our
is not real
for college and professional football. All of that after Lonzo proves why
is not real
with this Sports Flash.
I'm going to try anyway.
I believe in you.
Chicago Bears are now 3-2 with a 25-24 win over the Commanders. The Bears trailed by 2 with 3 minutes left when the Commanders fumbled a handoff near midfield. Caleb Williams led a drive that led to Jake Moody's 38-yard walk-off field goal. The Atlanta Falcons are 3-2 after a 24-14 win over the Buffalo Bills. Michael Penix Jr. went 20-32 for 250 and a touchdown, while Bijan Robinson carried 19 times for 170 yards and a touchdown and added 68 receiving yards. Josh Allen threw 2 touchdowns, but was picked off twice, including a late-game takeaway that sealed the Falcons' win. The LA Dodgers have a 1-0 advantage in the NLCS after a 2-1 win at Milwaukee. Blake Snell went 8 innings, allowing just 1 hit, no runs, and striking out 8. A homer from Freddie Freeman and an RBI single from Mookie Betts sealed the win.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you, ladies and gentlemen. 844-326-3663 is the number. Text that number. We'll read them on the air. Call that number. We'll put you on the air. Tweet me at the Rob Brown Show. Tweet Lonzo at Lonzo, one word. Tweet everybody up in here at the Fan Upstate. We have got a lot of things that we are talking about on the radio program today. The National Football League is hammered drunk right now. Here's the question of the day. Who's good? That's it. That's the question for the NFL. Who's good? There are 2 5-1 teams, the Indianapolis Colts, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And while I think both of those teams are indeed good, are either one of those teams great? Like, are they standing alone atop the mountain, atop Mount Success right now? Because while I really love them, Baker Mayfield, that is, at some point, I don't think that late game Baker magic is going to be able to bail him out of some big contest when you get into, say, the playoffs.
Yeah, but if there are no really good teams, why wouldn't it? Because that's saying he would go up against teams that are a whole lot better than them, and who's that?
No, I don't think that, but I do think the reason that we say who's good is because there are a lot of teams that are in that mix of like, they're good, but we don't really know how good they are, that have really good games. Like there's a couple of really good games for Philly. There's also a couple of absolute dumps.
Finding a consistently good team, I think, is what we need, because it seems like almost every team in the league is up and down right now.
Except mine. We suck. But outside of that, yeah, you're not wrong. All right, here's what we got coming up for you. We're going to do the audio blitz here. I got a handful of clips I'd like to play for you in this segment of the show. Respond and react to them. Then, in the next 2 segments of the show, it is America's favorite sports awards show as we hand out across the landscape of college and professional football our
That is not real.
awards for individual excellence at all levels of footy. That's coming up for you here in just a few minutes. In the final hour of the show, we're going to be all over the place. I've got to get some baseball in. We'll get just a little sprinkle of hockey across the top as the Hurricanes back in action this evening. We'll talk about that. Obviously, got to dive into baseball. The AL and NL championship series are both ongoing. The Seattle Mariners in Toronto, and they take the first 2 before they head back to Seattle for the next 3. The Dodgers get a road win in game 1 over the Milwaukee Brew Crew, and it was all about the pitchers and the big dongs yesterday. We'll talk some baseball in the next hour of the show, but allow us to get into your audio blitz, the best audio we've picked up in the last 24 hours. I would like to start with this. This past weekend, the game was over in London, and what I can only consider an act of war against the UK, we sent the Jets and the Broncos. It was bad. It was bad. It was a bad football game. And you know me, I'm a believer that some of you call not bad football games because you think they're boring because they're not explosive. I think defensive matchups are great football games because I'm a sicko. This was a bad football game. However, I am going to say this. As a true and genuine believer that we live in the greatest country on the face of the planet, do we have our problems? You're damn right we do. Do we have some issues happening right now that I believe are major problems? You're damn right I do. But I still believe that we are and have the potential to, for a very long time, be the greatest country in the world. That being said, there are other countries who do some things better than we do. There are some countries that do some things better than we do. And I think one of those countries that does one of those things better than we do, I think British sports announcers are the absolute pinnacle.
Dead on 4th and 7 with the game on the line. No timeouts remaining. 1:14. Tanner Engström, the New York Jets. Justin Fields, what do you have in your locker to go and win this game of football? Fields stomps his foot, takes it. 2 receivers right, 2 receivers left. Under pressure. Jonathan Cooper brings him down, and he is sacked for a massive loss on 4th down, and the Denver Broncos somehow will eke a win out in London. The Jets will fall to 0-6.
Brit sports commentary is the GOAT. There is no, I'm not even hearing an argument. Brits on sports is the top.
It's hard when you hear that, you're thinking soccer, and you have to put it in your mind that they're not talking soccer because you're used to that kind of energy and that kind of delivery being for a soccer game. And it took me a minute not a minute, it took me a little bit to get that he's talking about American football.
Yeah, it's great. So, I love alternate broadcast. I love them. I love the Peyton and Eli broadcast on Monday nights, on Thursday nights. You know what my favorite thing on in football is right now when I mean this? The AI broadcast on Amazon Prime for the Thursday Night Football. I adore it, man. It's my favorite because not only does it show you the game from the all 22 cam, the Madden cam, not the sideline cam, which is the worst thing we do in football. They show you the behind the quarterback view, A, but B, like they're lighting up the screen on matchups and predictions and all that, and it gives you more to watch.
AI voiceover?
There is not. It's the regular game audio.
I think it was kind of implied there. That's why I'm just making sure.
It's the regular game audio with one exception. They got I forget the guy's name, but little computer nerd guy who pops in and he's like, well, the Bears rush on third down more than anybody else. And we're going to light up this guy because this is statistically the point. And I love that.
He's like that paperclip dude.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. He's like Clippy, the paperclip from Microsoft Word Bag. He pops up, he gives you one little thing about why something's happening on the screen, and then he disappears, and you go back to Kirk and the gang. I think it's great. I love alternate broadcast. I want a Brit broadcast on every game now. I want a Brit broadcast for every, and I'm not just talking about the NFL. I mean, every game that I will ever watch on TV, I want a Brit broadcast. We are the greatest country in the world, but some countries do some things better than we do. Brits on sports commentary is the best thing in the world. Denny Hamlin is a NASCAR racer. He won this past weekend. Now, Denny Hamlin is a guy who is historically and traditionally in his 60 wins worth of NASCAR racing career, kind of been a bit of he's kind of a fantagonist. He's kind of a guy that loves to give the fans a little hell. He's going to say that here in a second. But I got to tell you, one of the things I love about sports is the ability to hate a dude or a team, but still respect them. I think that's important. Hate, like respectful hate, I think is important. Denny Hamlin is a guy who traditionally gets out of his car and he gets on the mic and he says over the entire arena to all the fans in the building, I just beat your favorite driver. It's one of my favorite catchphrases of any driver, any athlete that is victorious of all time. Well, Denny Hamlin's father is sick. We don't know what it is. He hasn't gone into detail, which is absolutely his right, and I support him in his decision to not overshare. But his dad's a little sick and apparently not doing great. So Denny Hamlin won this weekend and got the opportunity to go on the mic.
Definitely means a lot. I usually, it's the point where I kind of give the fans some shit, but not today. I appreciate all of you so much.
It's okay.
Yeah, just obviously want to say hi to my dad, family, back at home, all the friends that came out here from Vegas. Hoping we get 60, but I didn't think we were. Yeah, just put the pedal down those last 10 laps and made it happen.
Denny Hamlin. Now, if for some reason, very randomly, and I don't know why this happened, but the audio just cut out for you there a second. Very weird, and I don't know why that would have happened. But Denny Hamlin said into the mic, this is the point where I usually give the fans some, but I'm not going to do that right now. And it was great. Like, this is a dude that I have grown to love hating, or hate loving sometimes, but love to hate. But I love every now and then that sports gives us one of those reminders that these dudes are athletes, man. These dudes are athletes, but they're also people. They're also humans. And as somebody, I lost my dad when I was 25. And the lead up to that was absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. So I get where he's coming from. And so to have that moment that, yeah, they're top-notch athletes. Yeah, they're celebrities in the game. But they're also people, and they're also going through their own crap. For him to pop out of the car and say, this is usually where I give the fans some, but I want to say thanks and I appreciate y'all and all that. Like, that was awesome. That was awesome. Randall Godfrey Jr. is a basketball player for the Clemson Tigers. Clemson doing their basketball media day a couple of days ago. And Randall Godfrey Jr. was doing an interview with one of the Clemson media folks. And I want you to hear him out on this.
Everyone talks about having that dog in you, but are you a cat guy? Did I notice cats on your home screen today?
Yes, I have a cat. His name is Derek. This is my cat, Derek. And that's his brother, John. That's my brother's cat. But yes, we have my family. We turned into a cat family, and Derek's he's like my son. Like, I would do anything for Derek. And, I love Derek to death. And he means so much to me. He's one of the reasons why I play so hard. It sounds corny, but I think if y'all met Derek, y'all would be like, oh my gosh, like, he's more than just a cat to me. So
What about Derek? I got to have a follow-up here. Why does he give you such inspiration?
I think Derek has, he's opened up my perspective on love. Like, what does love really mean? And I think just taking care of someone like Derek has allowed me just to have more love for things outside of, basketball, outside of, just life. Like, I think just my love and my passion for things have just got on a, all-time, increase because of Derek.
You know what? Randall Godfrey Jr., I got your back, brother. I got your back, because there's going to be a whole lot of haters, man, out there that are going to say, that's lame. That's not okay. That's not good. You know what? I got your back, Randall Godfrey Jr.
Who's he play for again?
The Clemson Tigers. All right, hear me out on this. I am historically and remain to this day, just so we're all very clear, I'm a dog guy.
You're the meaning in my life.
As I was told one time a couple of years ago at ACC Media Days by a dear friend of the station and the show, photographer Susan, who is at every Clemson event we cover. She was watching me do an interview 2 ACC Media Goes with Dabo Swinney. And we got done with the interview and we got off, and she walked up to me and she said, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but you've got golden retriever energy. Which, from what I understand, is like it's like a new age compliment to a fella. You got golden retriever. It's just that high, bouncy, always good energy. I'm a dog guy, always have been, but the wife's a cat person, and she's got a cat. She had a cat when I moved in. It was an old Siamese cat named Bailey. Bailey was my OG because I never really had. I mean, I'd had cats before with other people, but I had never really had a cat. When I moved in, Bailey became attached to me at the hip. If I laid on the couch to watch some sports on a Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or college football Saturday, whatever, the OG Bailey was the cat that would jump up on the lap and sit there and just perfectly content to just sit on your lap while you watch sports. And I used to think that's lame dog. I hate that. Give me a dog. But the longer I've lived with cats, the more I'm like, I kind of get it, man. Now we got an old man cat, an old orange cat. His name is Wade, after Wade Hampton Boulevard, where we live. We got an old man cat named Wade. And this cat is great, man, because it doesn't want to do anything but sit on the couch and watch football with you. It's just the absolute best. And I'm going to say that while I love my dogs, and I do love my dogs, Remy and Rue, they're the greatest dogs on the planet. Love my dogs. They're psychopaths, but they're great dogs. There is something different in the uncompromising, infallible love, but also compared with energy of a dog versus a cat who, when that cat picks you, because the cat's finicky, it's going to do its own thing all the time. When a cat picks you, dude, it's great. It's great. You feel a dog's going to pick anybody. They just love everybody all the time, especially my dogs. When a cat picks you over their pillow, the sunny spot on the floor, a different room. When a cat picks you, man, it's evolved. Point here is Randall Godfrey Jr., don't listen to the haters, man. I got your back, brother. Hey, speaking of dogs, you know who does got that dog in him?
By the way, I just want to tell you, my cat has the same attitude as I do. So you can imagine what it's like.
Aloof?
Well, might acknowledge your existence, might not.
See, that's all cats. That's not just your cat. That's all cats.
Oh, no.
That's all cats.
And then she decides that she would like to spend time with you. She
that's all
comes
cats.
over there. When she's done, she'll probably bite you.
That's all
to
cats.
let you know she's done.
That's all cats. And so when a cat picks you, it's a dog's always going to pick you over anything else in the world.
I'm also the only one that she hisses at. So
again, it's emotion. Speaking of dogs, you know who got that dog in him? Cam Scattaboo. And Scattaboo got asked while we're talking about cats and dogs, a dog question.
You're a dog. What breed of dog would you be? Oh, that's a good question. I actually ended up getting a Frenchie. The way he acts and the way he is, it's kind of very similar to who I am. So it kind of fit perfect. When he's running into the wall at the laser, and he's just brain dead and goes full speed everywhere.
And you said that's like you?
Yep. There's been times where I've set him on the kitchen counter really quick, and he'll just leap off, not with no fright, you know, and then I throw his toy and he'll run full speed down the hallway and not stop for the toy and just keep running into the wall. So there's certain things that he does. It's just why did you do that? And then I also think to myself, there's certain things I do is why did I do that?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
I love this dude. I hope Cam Scattaboo lives forever.
Me too.
Love this dude.
Do you see he runs into the wall with the laser?
Yep.
So you don't get why that is?
They're chasing the laser.
Right. And he led him into the wall.
Yeah, no. The thing is, I do that with the cat. The cat doesn't run into the wall. The cat sees the wall and it's whoa, okay, got to stop here. Maybe it chases the laser up the wall, but it doesn't go face first. Cam Scattaboo is the dude that runs face first into walls for a living.
Oh, that's true.
I love this dude. He's sometimes he does stuff that he's brain dead. And I'm like, why did you do that? And then I realize I do stuff that is brain dead. And I'm like, why did I do that? I love this guy. He's a mess. And that's why he's my favorite. Now, let me play. I got a couple more, and I'm going to sprinkle them in throughout the rest of the show. But I told Lonzo I had a clip for him that he was going to love.
Oh, so it wasn't the cat one?
No.
Because
it's this one.
I absolutely love that.
It's this one. I need to combine two things. I'll say three things about my childhood all together in one. Number one, I'm a Florida boy. About once a year, we would go down to the theme parks in Orlando. And I always loved Universal. Everybody's a Disney guy. I was always a Universal guy because Universal is more about the movies. And you get to be in and live through the movies. And then, of course, as Universal expanded and they added Islands of Adventure, there's a whole Marvel land. You go there, the heroes, they're walking around, the rides are themed. You're in the Avengers compound. It's incredible. They got Harry Potter World where you are literally in Hogwarts. It's incredible. Number two, I loved the Transformers as a kid. We all did. Megatron, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Autobots, roll out.
I would have thought you were a Starscream kind of guy.
I was a Starscream guy. I love Starscream. Soundwave. Soundwave was always great. Foreshadowing for Rob Brown. I love Soundwave. I love the Transformers. And the third thing that I love was professional wrestling, specifically the Macho Man. So at Universal Studios, there is a part of the park that is dedicated to the Transformers. And they have there a 10-foot tall Megatron. It's an actor in a Megatron suit. And you can go take your picture with Megatron, but the cool thing is he actually talks and he interacts with you.
Yeah, I've seen video. It looks really cool.
Over the past couple of years, the actor portraying Megatron has gone viral because he is straight up a roast comic. He will make fun of everybody that comes up, with one exception. If you go up to Megatron and you pledge fealty to the Decepticons, Megatron will accept you. As this guy just found out. But Rob, why did you mention professional wrestling?
Lord Megatron. My Decepticon has returned. Arise. Oh, yeah. Sky's the limit. Space is the place. Cream of the crop. Yeah. Let me tell you something about Optimus Prime, yeah. Every time he rolls around here, yeah, it makes me feel like climbing to the top rope, yeah. Putting both claws in the air, dropping the elbow. Yeah. Macho Man Randy Savage. Decepticon Mega Power. Yeah.
So, just so your brain computes what you heard there, that was a 10-foot tall Megatron doing a 10 of 10 Megatron voice. Doing a 10 of 10 Megatron voice, doing a 10 of 10 Macho Man Randy Savage impersonation. Yeah. When I see Optimus Prime, I want to climb to the top rope, raise my arms and drop the elbow. Yeah. That's 10 of 10.
Dude, that was amazing.
That's incredible.
Right. You're right. That was great.
I told you. Like, there's not a spot for this in the radio show. Except for there 1000% is.
Well, yeah, because we cover wrestling, and that was a wrestling take from Megatron.
We don't need to defend it. It could be not that, and I wouldn't care. That clip's so good. That is an actor inside of a 10-foot tall Megatron outfit talking to a person, then just casually cutting a promo on Optimus Prime as the Macho Man, as a Decepticon. Y'all, I tell you, when I came across this clip on social media last night, I DM'd it to roughly 50 people. Lonzo wasn't one. Why? Because I wanted him to hear it on the show, because that's how much I love that clip. Yeah.
I have no words, man. That was so cool.
That's incredible. Incredible. You know what else is incredible? The individual performance of a number of football players across both the college and the professional football landscape, which was why, coming back, we hand out the single most prestigious award in all of sports, the TMFINRs.
That is not real.
Who stood out? Who went above and beyond? We hand them out next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Steven, Jurassic Park at Universal is beyond incredible. Beyond incredible. They do this thing now where you can walk up to a fence and they have a velociraptor, full-size velociraptor that comes out from the fence. It sticks its head out, and you can take a picture with the velociraptor, except for it roars and it snaps at you. Go to YouTube and just Google raptor scaring compilation, and watch people crap their pants at this velociraptor jumping at them. It's unbelievable. Y'all stay right there. I got to organize my thoughts. I'll be right back. A spectacular weekend in football, both college and professional. And of course, there was some individual excellence scattered across the landscape of the pigskin, which is why on Tuesdays, after the football weekend comes to its conclusion with Monday Night Football, we hand out our
Is not real.
awards for the week. Let us begin with the top 25 college football teams in action. And by the way, if you do have a submission for the TMFINR awards this week, text it to me at 844-326-3663, and I will put them on the TMFINR nominees list. Let's jump right in with the 24th ranked team in America, the South Florida Bulls. Why, oh, why, Rob, did the Bulls of South Florida make the list? Well, because not only are they ranked number 24, and I do the top 25 teams out of the gate, they also scored 63 points this weekend on the North Texas Mean Green, in no short part due to quarterback Byram Brown, a dude that I talked about a few weeks ago leading up to and after the defeat of the mighty Florida Gators by the Golden Bulls. They also gave a run at Miami, just not quite good enough for a team that is probably a legit national championship contender. Byram Brown, 22 of 28. 245 yards, 3 touchdowns. And if that wasn't enough, he also ran for 82 yards and 2 more scores. 5 touchdowns responsible for by Byram Brown.
That is not real.
By the way, USF backup quarterback Lonzo is named Christian Neptune.
Wow.
We got some good quarterback names going this week. Christian Neptune. 34-16, the Buckeyes of Ohio State University get the win over the number 17 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. I got to tell you the truth. This is going to be one of those ones that you go, that's not a TMFINR stat line, but it is not about the stat line. It is more about what happened within it, because Julian Sayin completed passes to 8 different Buckeye wide receivers. There was nowhere on the football field that Julian Sayin couldn't place the ball. Illinois came into this game very clearly angling to take the deep ball away from Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin said, word, dog. I can throw the underneath ones too. Only 166 yards, did have 2 touchdowns, 19 of 27, but completed passes to 8 different Buckeye wide receivers. Every part of the football field, Julian Sayin owned this weekend. Julian Sayin catches, I believe, his first
That is not real.
of the year for the Ohio State University Buckeyes. 30-20, the Hoosiers get the win on the road over the Mighty Ducks of Oregon. I have been saying the name Fernando Mendoza all day long, but it is not Fernando Mendoza that gets the TMF INR. No, it is Elijah Surratt, the wide receiver for the Indiana Hoosiers. 8 grabs, a $121, and a tutty. When Fernando Mendoza was running around for his life, he kept finding Elijah Surratt.
That is not real.
For the big chunks, and it worked out well for him. Ole Miss 24-21 winners over the Washington State Cougars, and it wouldn't have got done, not just because of Trinidad Chambliss, 20 of 29 for 253 yards, only 15 yards on the ground, though. It was not the run game of Trinidad Chambliss. It was the run game of Kawan Lacey, who does have one already, and he gets number 2, 25 carries, 142 yards, an average of 5.9 yards per carry. Chambliss could not get going. He took off to the outside, and the Cougs were attacking the big man quarterback. So Kawan Lacey said, I got you, dog.
That is not real.
And picks up a TMFINR number 2 on the season. The Aggies of Texas A&M, the Colt at the compound, wipe the floor with the Mighty Gators of Florida, 34-17. Your final in this one, Marcel Reed, quarterback for the Ags, 16 of 26, 234, 1 touchdown and 1 not his fault interception. It was a good rushing day for the Ags, 183 yards, but the majority of that came late in the game when the game was out of hand and the Ags were just running clock in this one. Ruben Owens, 51 yards, Le'Veon Moss, 46 yards, but Marcel Reed was efficient with the football. Only 16 completions, but every one of them was an efficiency completion for an Ags team that ran the ball 42 times in this game. Marcel Reed
is not real.
Is not real. The Longhorns of Texas, 23-6 winners over the Boomer Sooners, kept the Oklahoma Boomer Sooners out of the end zone for the overwhelming majority of this game. But it is not a player, although Quintravion Winsner is in the hunt with 22 carries for 94 yards. However, I got to give a group TMFINR to the Texas Longhorn defense. What did I say coming into this game? I picked Oklahoma. I'll own it. Picked OU. But, ladies and gentlemen, I told you the Texas defense is a top 10 defense, maybe a top 5 defense. Texas is still very much alive, both in the SEC and in the national championship hunt because their defense is good. Their defense picked off John Mateer not once, not twice, but 3 times in this game, had a chunk of turnovers and kept the Boomer Sooners out of the end zone. The Texas defense is not real. Alabama 27-24 winners over the Mizzou Tigers. What did I say on Friday about this game? It's going to be a field goal game. Bama's going to win it. And the conversation on Monday is going to be, see, Rob, Bama's not that good. No, you're missing it. It's that Mizzou is that good. But what did Alabama do? They held Ahmad Hardy to 12 carries, 52 yards in this game. The defense came up big, but give me Jam Miller. I thought about Ty Simpson here. In fact, you know what? Screw it. Going to make it a duo. Ty Simpson, 23 of 31, 200 yards, 3 touchdown passes. No big plays, not trying to get it down the field. They did have a 29-yard completion in there, but most everything else was like 20 and shy for Ty Simpson. Efficient with the football. TMF INRs do not have to be explosive stats. You add that to Jam Miller, who finally got going. He missed the first couple of games of the season with an injury. 20 carries, 85 yards, averaged 4 yards per carry, and did so late in the game when they needed to keep Bo Pribula off the field. Ty Simpson, Jam Miller
is not real.
Are not real. The Texas Tech Red Raiders 42-17 over the Jayhawks. Rock chalk 263 rushing yards for Cameron Dickey. Scored twice on the ground. Let me say that again for you. 263 rushing yards for Cam Dickey. The Red Raiders may have found a running back.
That is not real.
Watch out for him. 20-10. Georgia gets the win over the Auburn Tigers. Gunnar Stockton, good day. 24 of 37. No touchdowns, but no picks either. Smart. Let the run game carry you. Keep Jackson Arnold on the bench. They did. Held him to 137. Gunnar Stockton, efficient football. Didn't need the big play. Didn't want the big play.
That is not real.
Gunnar Stockton got it done. At 22-10, LSU over South Carolina. I didn't really know where to go with this one. Garrett Nussmeier was fine. 254, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks as well. But I think you have to give it to the guy that every time LSU found their backs against the wall against the Gamecocks, Trey'Dez Green got it done. 8 grabs, 119, and a touchdown. This dude, he's like 6'7". Just throw it at the goalpost and let Trey'Dez Green
is not real.
go get it. Tennessee 34-31 over the Razorbacks of Arkansas. Deshaun Bishop, 146 yards rushing and a touchdown.
That is not real.
You put up almost 150 on the ground. You're going to win that thing. 35-20, the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Rat get right against the Hokies of Virginia, and it was because of Haynes King and Malachi Hosley stepping up for Jamal Haynes, who has not been the guy the last couple of weeks they wanted him to be. Haynes King, 20 of 24, 213 and a touch, but Hosley, 11 carries, 119, averaged 11.7 yards per carry. If they can have a running back going, Haynes King becomes a dog. If Haynes King's a dog, Tech might go 12-0.
That is not real.
USC 31-13 winners over the Wolverines of Michigan. I went back and forth on this one, but I said 150 on the ground is going to get it for you. King Miller, 18 totes, 158 and a touchdown. King Miller for the Trojans.
That is not real.
Also, King Miller's just a hell of a name, dude. Hell of a name. 36-7, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish fight off the NC State. Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack. CJ Carr, the freshman, nobody believed in. 19 of 31, 342 yards and a pair of tutties on the ground. Turns out this CJ Carr dude, he might have something going for him. CJ Carr
that is not real.
is not real. Let's go. Let's wrap it up with Colorado 24-17 winners over the Cyclones of Iowa State. First ranked win for the Buffaloes. Why? Because Kadon Salter, if you followed this kid's story, started, bench. They needed him. He came up big. 16 of 25, 255, 2 touchdowns, ran for 57 as well. I'm following the story of this kid fighting through adversity. Bench came back, balling out. Kadon Salter
That is not real.
is not real. Submit your nominees for college ball. When we come back, we hand out our TMF INRs for the NFL next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stay right there. We'll be right back one more time again. Don't go nowhere. Rolling through the TMFINR Awards of the week for exceptional and standout play across college and professional football. We handed out our college TMFINRs in the last segment. We do the same for our NFL awards now. We go back to last Thursday evening when the New York Football Giants, the G-Men, shocked the world with a 34-17 beatdown of the Eagles of Philadelphia. And you know who this one's going to already. Cam bleeping Scattaboo. 19 totes, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 through the air as well. I don't know what to say. The man said, I make decisions that I say, why did I do that? The answer? So you can get 98 yards and 3 touchdowns and your Giants can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Cam Scattaboo!
Is not real.
And I mean that literally, I think. I don't think he's actually a real person. I think Cam Scattaboo might be like the first model of like an AI soldier, super soldier kind of deal, but it's just gone a little haywire and ended up playing football. The man's a psychopath. 13-11. The Denver Broncos beat the New York Jets in London on Sunday morning. The TMF INR award goes to anybody who made it through this game. If you finished this game, if you watched more than a handful of minutes of this game, you
is not real.
Are not real, because that game was, golly. There's like maybe 5 to 6 NFL games a year that I go, that was just a bad football game. That was a bad football game. 31-27, the Colts hand the Cardinals their 4th loss of the year. Danny Dimes had himself a day, 22 of 32, 12, 2 tutties, and a pick in this one, a QB rating over 101. But I'd like to welcome Jonathan Taylor back to the scene. 21 carries, 123 yards, and a touchdown. He was the reason that Danny Dimes had a clean pocket because he was back. This is the Jonathan Taylor the Colts need to show up if they are going to improve on their 5-1 record. Jonathan Taylor
is not real.
Is not real. The Chargers get a walk-off win over the Miami Dolphins, 29-27, your final in this one. And I am tandeming this TMF INR because there were 2 Chargers. Scratch that. I'm trioing this one because there were 3 Chargers that I think deserve it. I don't do that very often, but I'm going 1 through the air, 1 through the ground, 1 catch in the rock. Justin Herbert, 29 of 38, 264 yards, a pair of touchdowns, sacked once, a QB rating of 112.2, I believe the highest on the weekend. Kamani Vidal, 18 carries, 124 yards, and Ladd McConkey, 7 grabs, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Herbert, Vidal, and McConkey
is not real.
Bringing home the first trio TMFINR of the season. 25-19. The Patriots wipe out my Saints, hand them their 5th loss on the season. I went back and forth on this one too. I want to give it to Drake May. 18 of 26, 261, 3 touchdown passes. But I also feel like I have to give it to Kayshon Boutte. 5 grabs, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the ability to let me say booty a bunch of times and it not be a sophomoric joke. I'll tandem this one too. Let's go Drake May, 18 of 26, 261, 3 tutties. Kayshon Boutte, 5 grabs, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Every time the Saints looked like they had anything going, Kayshon Boutte got behind the defense and made something happen.
That is not real.
May and Boutte. You got to love it. 23-9. The Steelers knock off the Browns in this one. I'll tandem this one. It's not the first tandem award for these two, and it's probably not going to be the last if the Steelers keep doing what the Steelers keep doing. Aaron Rodgers, 21 of 32, 35, 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 4 grabs, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Here's the, you know what? I'm contemplating, Zoe. Does DK Metcalf deserve one? Here's why. 4 grabs, 95 yards. Was targeted 5 times and had 3 clean drops. Can we hand a TMFINR for a stat number of 4 for 95 and a touch when he put 3 on the ground that would have got him to like 140? Or is that DQing for DK?
How good are the ones that he actually caught?
I mean, he had a couple of good catches, but he had a couple of bad drops too. You know what? I think I might just give this to Rodgers.
Quarterbacks don't go they throw bad passes.
Sure.
You take it away from them.
But I don't think this was. I think if DK Metcalf has a day worthy of it, instead of 4 out of 9, he's probably 6 out of 9 nice. And Aaron Rodgers is probably looking at 25 of 30 for 310 and 3 touchdowns maybe, or at least 2 touchdowns. I'm going to DQ DK, and I'm going to say it's a solo TMF INR for Aaron Rodgers.
That is not real.
The Seahawks, 20-12 winners over the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one. Look, the dude's been balling out, but he's not alone in this one. A tandem award here. Sam Darnold, 16 of 27, 295, 2 touchdowns. Jackson Smith and Jigba. 3 weeks ago, I said, look out, because this guy might be a bona fide number 1. We all said, what are they going to do without DK? The answer is get it to JSN, because Jackson Smith and Jigba, 8 grabs, 162 yards, and a touchdown. In fact, I love me some Sam Darnold. Smart with the football, good with the football. 11 incompletions. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
That is not real.
Getting the solo shot.
Quarterback's best friend, an Ohio State receiver.
I'm telling you. 17-3, the Rams finish off the Ravens with Cooper Rush as the starter. Tyler Huntley would check in and get some significant time because the Ravens aren't good in this one. Puka Nacua. 2 grabs, 28 yards, no touchdowns. However, Puka left this game with what was feared to be a pretty bad injury. Checked back in later in the game and came up with another big-time snag that changed the game. That being said, Zoe, I gotta say, I don't think I have a TMF INR award here. I don't think I do. Stafford was fine, 17 of 26, 181 and a touch. Kyron Williams rushed for 50. Tyler Higbee, 4 snags, 40 yards and a touch. Like, the Rams did not look special in this game. I just think that's how bad the Ravens are. I'm going to say no TMF INR award handed out in that game. 20-10, the Raiders hand the Titans their 5th loss, and they get Brian Callahan fired from Tennessee. I looked in this one, too. I don't know that there's one that jumps off the page. Ashton Janty did get 75 yards and a touch, but it took him 23 touches to get that number, averaged less than 3.3 a carry. Trey Tucker, 5 grabs, 70 yards, no scores. Michael Mayer, 5 for 50 and a touch as a tight end. You know what? Screw it. I think that might be the line. Michael Mayer was like the sit down in the hole receiver for Geno Smith in this win. It's not a super impressive stat line, but he was probably the most important guy on the offense. 5 catches, 50 yards and a touch. Let's give it to a tight end. Michael Mayer.
That is not real.
Not real for the LV Raiders. The Packers knock off the Bengals 27-18 in this one. Went around, up and down, but I think I'm going to give it to Josh Jacobs. Didn't get to the century mark. Jordan Love, 19 of 26, 259, a touch and a pick, a 101 QB rating. Not a bad day, but Josh Jacobs, not just 18 carries for 93 yards, also had 5 snags for 57 yards and 3 or 4 excellent pass block pickups as a running back. I'm going to say Josh Jacobs.
That is not real.
Gets the TMF INR for that one. 30-19, the Bucs over the 49ers. Lonzo, say it. The Buccaneers.
I
say it.
I don't want Baker.
That is not real.
17 of 23, 256, and a pair of touchdowns. Also had 3 carries for 14 yards, one of which came up to be a critical 4th down late in the game. Baker Mayfield, as far as I am concerned, and I believe Zoe is as well, should be the front runner for the most valuable player award right now. It is for reasons inexplicable to me. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen 1 and 2. It should be Baker Mayfield, who is currently the 3rd shortest odds. 30-17, the Chiefs get one over on the very banged up Lions in this one. I went around and upside down. I think I got to give it to Mahomes again. 22 of 30, 257, 3 touchdown passes, and had 8 different Chiefs catch at least 1 pass. Was spreading the ball around, was taking care of the football. Also had 32 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown as well. What the hizzle, Patrick Mahizzle?
That is not real.
Patrick Mahomes catches another TMF INR. The Atlanta Falcons last night, 24-14 winners over the Buffalo Bills. I went around on this one. It's not anybody but anywhere else except Carolina. Bijan Robinson, 19 totes, 170 yards on the ground and a touchdown, averaged 8.9 per carry. Oh, that's not good enough for you? Bijan Robinson, 6 grabs, 68 yards, and I'm tandeming this. How does anybody tandem with 170 and a tutty on the ground and 68 on the air? Drake London, 10 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Ladies and gentlemen, the Atlanta offense is not a joke. Can they do it against playoff teams in the playoffs? We'll worry about that later. It's week 6. Bijan Robinson, Drake London.
That is not real.
The tandem TMFINR award. And then finally, 25-20. It's not finally. We got one more after this, but I think you all know where the last one's going. 25-24, the Bears knock off the Washington Commanders. Bum last night. I'm tandeming this one as well. DeAndre Swift has got to get one. 14 carries, 108 yards, average 7.7 yards per carry. But he also had 2 grabs for 67 yards and an aerial touchdown. However, you can say what you want about the guy. After all the crap, after all the heat, after all the discussion, ladies and gentlemen, would you look at that? The Chicago Bears went and found a head coach. The Chicago Bears ownership got TF up out the way, and Caleb Williams is out here out-dueling Jaden Daniels. Ladies and gentlemen, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams.
That is not real.
And now we wrap it up. Get the bite ready. Because a 27-30 Panther win over the Dallas Cowboys. Bryce Young was what I need him to be. 17 of 25, 199, 3 touchdowns and a pick, a 114.8, the highest quarterback rating in the NFL in week 6. But part of the reason he looked so good, 30 carries, 183 yards, 4 snags, 56 receiving yards, and a receiving tutty for Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle might get the biggest
That is not real.
of the weekend, over 239 all-purpose yards for Rico Dowdle against his former team. Now, you might say, of course, he saddled up and rode hard for his previous team, except for that's back-to-back Jack weeks with Rico going over 200 total all-purpose yards. Ladies and gentlemen, Chuba Hubbard's a dog. I'm not arguing it's not. But this is Rico Dowdle's team now. And until the tread wears off the tires, give Rico the rock. Rico Dowdle
That is not real.
is not real. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I learned something last evening that is taking place in the landscape of college football that I found really interesting. I'm going to say 2 words, and then you're going to have to come back to find out what they mean and what it's going to cost. Player insurance. Huh? Don't worry. I'm going to tell you what that means in the next segment. But before we get to the next segment, you need to know what's going on in the world of sports. You need to know the headlines for when you get to the office and start talking sports. That's why Lonzo is about to penetrate and pleasure your ear holes with this Sports Flash.
I was going to give you a compliment about the tease, and then you did that. The Chicago Bears are now 3-2 with a 25-24 win over the Commanders. The Bears trail by 2 with 3 minutes left when the Commanders fumbled a handoff near midfield. Caleb Williams led a drive that led to Jake Moody's 38-yard walk-off field goal. The Atlanta Falcons are 3-2 after a 24-14 win over the Buffalo Bills. Michael Penix Jr. went 20 of 32 for 250 and a touchdown, while Bijan Robinson carried 19 times for 170 yards and a touchdown and added 68 receiving yards. Josh Allen threw 2 touchdowns but was picked off twice. That's a shame, including a late game takeaway that sealed the Falcons' win. And the Seattle Mariners are up 2-0 in the ALCS after a 10-3 win over Toronto. Logan Gilbert gave up all 3 runs in just 3 innings. That's not good. It's not. When I said that's not good, that's not. I was talking about me. But, yeah. 2 solid outings. Then I cracked myself up on the 3rd one, and that's why, if you can't, laugh at things that you say yourself. I was laughing about Josh Allen in my head, and then I forgot that I had to keep reading. That's what happened, Steven. That and I'm fighting through a headache. Not an excuse, just a reason. That's exactly what I would say. Jim, you're right. Actually, that's probably – I don't think I had popcorn. I might have had some Doritos when I was watching, but, whatever your snack of choice for the evening is, that's exactly how I felt. His wife is a very good actor, though. So, I mean, there's that. So he's got that going for him. And I'm sure he'll bounce back. Hopefully not this year, because, you know, but. Stop it, Andrew. It's just nasty, man. It is, especially the intent when it is uttered. It is not. No. And don't give him that kind of joy. Now he'll continue to do it. I don't think he was going to stop anyway.
I wasn't going to stop.
Yeah. I will say that I probably might maybe deserve it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I personally love the FCC.
Lonzo loves government regulation. You heard it here first.
No, if it weren't for the FCC, this would be a Quentin Tarantino show.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys should hear the stuff I don't say. Come to the bar with Rob Brown one night.
Sound like an invite for sure.
Buy me at a bar. I am at them regularly. Andrew with the M reference. I like it. Well, the FCC won't let me be. So let me see. That song's going to be in my head the rest of the day, which is fine because I had Desert Rose in my head
I still don't
for
know
no reason at all.
I mean, because I'm not even sure what station. Now you got it back in there. Why would you do that?
Oh, it wasn't out.
It was out of mine.
I'm just going to go randomly throughout the rest of the day.
I'm going to, in my head, believe that you're yodeling. And then I'll picture you doing a Ricola commercial. Except in my head, it was a Rico commercial. And that just...
The Rob Brown Show, back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo and you. Phone lines open for you, 844-FANFONE. That is 844-326-3663. You can text that number. It is the Hub City Spartanburger text line. We'll read it on the air. You can call that number, and we will put you on the air. You can tweet me and follow me on social media at The Rob Brown Show across all of the social media. You can get to Lonzo at Lonzo on Word on Twitter. You can get to everybody up in here at the Fan Upstate. And, of course, if you have not done so yet, we do stream all 4 hours of the show, all 5 days of the week that we do it live at Facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Join us, go behind the scenes, have conversations with myself, with Lonzo, with the rest of the Armada off of the air. Sometimes they make it onto the air. Sometimes they don't. We had a conversation in depth there during the break about the word penetration. It's a good word. It's a good word. It needs to be used more. Do me a favor. Use that word at work as many times as you can today.
Probably shouldn't do that.
You should.
I don't know.
It's just an English word. No need to be afraid of words, people. No need to be afraid of words. All right, let's jump back into this. We talked earlier in the show about the Penn State situation. Penn State, of course, firing James Franklin over the weekend, a young man who has been in charge of the program for a dozen years. At this point, is released despite the fact that he averaged 10 wins per year. I'm not just going to say there's a lot of schools that wish that they could say that. I'm going to say most schools wish that they could say that they averaged 10 per year. But here's the reality of the situation. James Franklin, during his tenure as a head coach, is 128-60. The majority of those 60 are against top 10 teams. James Franklin had at Penn State, 16% win percentage against teams ranked inside of the AP top 10. James Franklin has won one Big Ten championship back in 2016. That is it. That's the entire trophy case. A 2016 Big Ten championship. He did win the 2016 Hayes Schembechler Coach of the Year Award, the 2016 Sporting News Coach of the Year, and the 2000 Woody Hayes Trophy. That was all 9 years ago. Nothing since then. And while you would look and say, hey, he averaged 10, like, wouldn't you want that? The answer is yeah, if you're any other school. But how many of a dozen years do I have to win 10 before we win 11? Before we win 12? Before we win a Big Ten championship? Before we win a national championship? The answer is at least another one. So they move on. There were a couple of names that jumped out of the gate as the next dude to take over as the main dude at Penn State University. One of them was Ohio State offensive coordinator Brian Hartline. He is the offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach at Ohio State. He has been with the team since 2017. Of course, Brian Hartline is a former NFL player, spent some time with the Dolphins and the Browns, left NFL football in 2016, joined the Buckeyes the next year, and has been there ever since. He has not only cemented himself as a top recruiter nationally, but look at the list of names that has come out of Ohio State, or as I think you could get away with calling them right now, wide receiver U. Garrett Wilson, a Buckeye. Jackson Smith and Jigba, a Buckeye. Chris Olave, a Buckeye. Marvin Harrison Jr., a Buckeye. They have been sending dudes to the NFL at the wide receiver position. Brian Hartline has been in control of that group for 8 years now. And every year, it's like he's just reloaded the wide receiver spot. So that's a very interesting name, because I've got to think that after 8 years at Ohio State, you think maybe he wants a chance. Maybe he wants an opportunity to go put on the headset and be that guy. Does he? I don't know. We'll find out. Now, that being said,
by the way, I don't think he does, but we'll see.
We'll find out. With the understanding that Brian Hartline was a Buckeye. In fact, was a member of the 2008 BCS National Championship game team, averaged over 13 yards per reception, 52 catches, 694 yards. In his final season in 08, 22.8 yards per reception, 21 catches, 479. He's a Buckeye, and, rivalries go so far. Again, my loyalty cannot be bought, but it can be rented. I hate the Atlanta Falcons, but if y'all need a play-by-play guy, holla at your boy.
Penn
I'll
State,
come to the ATL.
not a rival.
Sure, whatever. I would disagree, but I'm not an Ohio State fan, so
right,
you have more say than I do about it.
in this case, I can actually say I know this more than you do.
Fair enough.
And they're not.
Fair enough. So, Brian Hartline's in the mix, and I got to say, I think he's the second most attractive candidate you could have. I think the most attractive candidate that you could possibly end up with is Matt Rule. Now, wait a minute, Rob Brown. I've heard the name Kurt Cignetti.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Thrown about a bunch of times. Why would it not be him? Well, the answer is it would be him. He is the most attractive head coaching candidate right now. I think if Kurt Cignetti decides that he wants to leave Indiana and take a step up, he would be the dude. Oh, by the way, yeah, I appreciate the text reminding me Emeka Egbuka is on that list of Ohio State wide receivers too.
There were a bunch more. No,
I'm sure.
It would have took a while. Yeah.
So I think Curt Cignetti is the most attractive name on the Penn State wish list as it stands right now. Here's the problem. I don't think you're getting him out of Bloomington, Indiana. I don't think you're getting him out of Bloomington, Indiana, because I don't think, and this may very well have been a hot take maybe just 2 or 3 years ago. I do not think it is anymore. I think Indiana is one great season, and perhaps, perchance, maybe, this is that great season. I think the Indiana Hoosiers are one great season away from having their head coaching job be considered at the least on par with the Penn State Nittany Lion coaching job. Hold your horses. Don't start throwing pointy objects at me just yet. Let's think about this for a moment. In terms of revenue, Indiana is behind Penn State, but it is not dramatically behind Penn State. In terms of revenue, Indiana's got it, because not only are they right now the darlings of college football, and they are, which means that NIL's going to be fine, because you get to where Indiana is, and that is where smaller national companies go, maybe we can't afford big names at Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, but we can afford Fernando Mendoza and the rest of the Hoosiers. So let's start that. And then the big companies go, oh, they're doing something. They also, remember, get Big Ten money. They get Big Ten money. The second highest payout in college football is from the Big Ten to its member institutions. And the Indiana Hoosiers went to the playoffs last year, which meant they got another big old fat check. And they're probably going back this year. I think Indiana is very much a serious threat to win the Big Ten championship this year. They have the leg up on Oregon, should it come down to those two plus the horse chestnuts of Ohio State as to who gets in. They now have the tiebreaker over the Ducks, meaning leg up on the Big Ten title game and OBT dubs. If you play for the Big Ten title, you're going to the playoffs this year. I think Indiana's in. And oh, by the way, with, once again, Fernando Mendoza at quarterback, I think you're a genuine contender in the college football playoffs here, which means you get Big Ten payout, you get Big Ten championship game payout, you get playoff money, and if you can go win yourself a game or two, you could end up getting bonus payout from the playoffs as well. Penn State, on the flip side, will not be playing for the Big Ten championship this year after an 0-3 start. Penn State this year will, I suspect, not be the first 9-3 team that makes its way into the college football playoffs as an at-large squad, meaning they will not be going to the playoffs, which means that Indiana's going to be bringing in a pretty penny of revenue that is inaccessible to the Penn State Nittany Lions. You put into all of that right now the fact that and I want you to take yourself back to when you were 16, 17 years old. You were a high school football player. You were living your best life. You're out there macking on the cheerleaders. You're out there hanging out with the boys. You're out there doing two-a-days and getting ready, and you go to the season and you look up and you are from the great Midwest, a place that has historically been dominated by Ohio State, by Michigan, by Penn State, making inroads, et cetera, et cetera. And now all of a sudden there's this plucky little upstart team in Bloomington, Indiana, led by...
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Curt Cignetti, who right now is, as aforementioned, the media darling. Did you hear the the halftime interview with Curt Cignetti during their win over the Ducks this time around? Young lady doing the interview was like, hey, Curt, talk to me about the first half. Curt Cignetti, first off, spent just like 10 seconds boosting up his team and then spent about 2 minutes ripping them down while making jokes the whole time. The dude's absolutely the dude that a young and dumb, now old and dumb, but then young and dumb Rob Brown would have loved to have gone and play. I click with this dude, man. And I promise you, a lot of other college football players do. Versus outside of like diehard lifelong Penn State fans in and around Pennsylvania. If you're not a diehard, what's the attractiveness of Penn State right now? And I would like Penn State fans to answer that question, but I'll ask all of you as well. What's the attractiveness of Pennsylvania State University right now? Revenue, resources, sure. Recruiting,
chance
fine.
To play in a whiteout.
I mean, great. Which, by the way, you lose as much as you win them. Like, nice job. I picked Oregon in that game because they lose every whiteout. It's easy. So, I don't think Curt Cignetti is a legitimate pick for that gig. And I don't think he's a legitimate pick for that gig because I think that at the end of this season, after the chips have fallen and the college football playoff hath been played and the college football national championship hath been awarded, I think Indiana's going to have enough money on the table that they can give Curt Cignetti a raise and an extension to get him to where Penn State would have him at to come over and take over a program that, while you cannot use the word floundering to describe it, because again, they played in the semifinal last year. Certainly, this is a big-time reset for the Penn State Nittany Lions versus Curt Cignetti, who has built, molded, shaped, formed, evolved Indiana into a legitimate, don't laugh because I'm right, a legitimate playoff contender. So, who is the guy, the dude to take over that program? Ladies and gentlemen, there is one answer, and one answer only, and it is Matt Rule, the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now,
see, wouldn't you say, I mean, historically, Nebraska is the bigger name? I mean, back in the day, Nebraska was the team. So, and I don't remember Penn State being on the same level as Nebraska.
I think, great one. I think you need to do what my broken body is doing on a regular basis and constantly reminding me that 1990 was 35 years ago. 35. Nebraska has not. Here's the thing. And I said this over the weekend about Florida State. If you follow me on X at the Rob Brown Show, I made this same correlation. It is not that Nebraska has struggled the last, 25 years. It's that they have been, Lonzo, irrelevant. It is one thing to be bad. It is worse to be irrelevant. If you're bad, people are still talking about you. You're still getting attention. There's brand awareness. If you're irrelevant, you are nothing.
I said this word in there, historically.
I agree.
Yeah, I did say historically, and I realized they have fallen off. But what's Penn State done? What have they done?
Again, Penn State has been, during the entire 12 years James Franklin has been there, they've been right there, knocking on the door.
What they have been, they've been a ranked win for either Ohio State or Michigan, sometimes both. That's what they've been.
I don't disagree.
I mean, so glad you're ranked. It makes us look better. Way to go, Penn State.
Well and good. When's the last time Nebraska was a ranked win for those teams? 2001. 2001. The last time Nebraska was relevant, I was a sophomore in high school. I am now a 40-year-old and inching ever closer to 41-year-old man. I was a sophomore in high school. The last time Nebraska was not irrelevant. I made the comparison. I drew the line between Nebraska and Florida State, and I said, you know what the danger for Florida State is? It's not that they're going to be bad. The danger for Florida State is that in this day and age, when everybody's moving forward with NIL and rev share and portal and yada, 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 if you become irrelevant, I don't know how you come back from that. You have to stumble on a Curt Cignetti to get you back from that. And there ain't but one.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Curt Cignetti right now. That's why that's why Penn State wants him. However, Matt Rule. And I saw somebody online say yesterday, why would you?
All this is alleged, by the way. We don't know that's
we don't know,
who
but
they want.
That's our job, is to speculate. So I'm doing my job in speculating.
And what has Matt Rule done at Nebraska that would make you want him at Penn State?
Nebraska has the best football team right now that they have had in 2 decades. 2 decades. It's been since Nebraska has been relevant. Are they a threat in the conference right now? No, not really. But Lonzo, they're 5-1, and their only loss right now was a field goal loss to the Michigan Wolverines at the point that everybody was saying maybe the Wolverines aren't as bad as we thought they were. 3-point loss. They are 5-1. And granted, the 5 aren't impressive. Cincinnati, who's got a ranked win, by the way, Akron, Houston Christian, Michigan State, and Maryland. Not a who's who of 5 wins, but there's also not a lot of 5-1 teams out there right now, including the ones who played craptastic schedules and could not get to 5-1. I'm not saying they're good. What I'm saying is Matt Rule is a dude that takes 2 or 3 years to really hit the stride, to really hit it. He did it at Baylor. He did it at Rice.
Yeah.
Again, that's the NFL. It's a different breed of cat, man. It's a different world up there. This is why Matt Rule's just another college coach who tried it in the big leagues and realized, oh, that's not how this works. The OOU stuff does not work in the NFL. It absolutely works in college football. It absolutely does. To this day still works. So the OOU stuff will work. This is why Nebraska has right now today the best football team Nebraska's had since 2002-ish. It's been 23 years since they've been relevant. And while I do not think they are necessarily good yet, here's what I will say. Can Nebraska beat Minnesota right now? You're damn right they can. Can they beat Northwestern right now? You're damn right they can. Can they beat USC? I would say is a good answer. I'd say that's a toss-up game. Can they beat UCLA right now? In fairness, UCLA is like, what?
I don't know, dude.
What the hell was Deshaun Foster doing? Deshaun leaves. This team's now 2-0 with a top 3 win over Penn State and rolling. So, like, let's say probably, but maybe. Can they beat Penn State right now? Northwestern just did. So, yes. And can they beat Iowa right now? I say yes. I think they can. This Penn State team could, not will, could finish this year 11-1 or 10-2. Genuinely. That's where Matt Rule has this team right now. They could genuinely finish 10-2.
He should probably jump right now, because if he were to lose to Penn State, that would not get him that Penn State job.
Well, again, he would have to wait until the end of the year. That's just how those contracts are written out in order to do it, or else he'd be on the hook for a massive buyout. He would be anyway, but it can decrease a lot if he waits till the end of the year. I don't know about all that. Here's what I do know. Penn State's not getting Kurt Cignetti. So the conversation comes down to, as far as I'm concerned, Brian Hartline out of Ohio State, who we don't know if he would be willing to leave his alma mater or not. Granted, if you're Brian Hartline, if you have any interest at all in being a head coach, it's not going to be at Ohio State, because Ryan Day's a young man. He's going to be there for a long time. So if you want to be head coach, now's the time to jump.
He's going to be there a long time unless he can't beat Michigan.
I mean, he won a national championship.
Yeah, I know.
The most Ohio State University thing in the world.
It all starts over again if they get to the end of the season and lose to Michigan.
The most Ohio State thing in the world will be for a guy to win you a national championship, be one of, what is it now, 3 active head coaches with the national championship, and then get fired because you lost an irrelevant game on Thanksgiving weekend that didn't matter. Oh, that'd be spectacular. Ryan Day would be hired before he got his stuff out of the locker.
Oh, he absolutely would, and he should.
But
he's not going anywhere.
So Brian Hartline is not going to be a head coach at Ohio State, at least not in the next decade or so. So if he wants to be one, he's got to go. We just don't know if he does. But even if he does, Matt Rule is a successful college football coach, a successful college football coach with a bunch of experience. He's the guy, because you're not getting Kurt. Indiana's going to pay Kurt Cignetti, and Indiana is not a step down from Penn State as much as Penn State fans want to think it is. I will say this. Nebraska is, except for Matt Rule. Now, if Matt Rule leaves, Nebraska goes back to irrelevance, then they definitely are. I would say today, Indiana is not far behind Penn State on the quality of job, and I think they'll pay him what Penn State would pay him, Kurt Cignetti. Nebraska is a step down from Penn State. So I think Matt Rule ends up being the guy. Let's take a break. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Yo, stay right there for me. that I very much love working here at the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY, for free. You're welcome. Is that, and this is, and I can say this with all great sincerity, I believe the first time in my 17-year radio career, a spot that I work that I actually like everyone I work with. There have been spots that I've worked that I've hated everyone I've worked with, and there's been spots that I've worked where I liked a couple of people and despised a couple of people. This is the first time where everyone that I work with on the station, I genuinely like. That's nice. And one of the things I like about the fellas is that while we butt heads occasionally, the four of us, a lot of the times, I think the boys have some good takes. Now, if you listened to that break there, the afternoon legend we call Cole Bryson had a take. He said, look, it was, and I agree with this.
We call him other things.
We call him a lot of things.
Yeah,
I just can't say most of them on the radio.
Cole Bryson, though, is what
Lonzo calls him short all the time.
Well, he's not tall.
Cole Bryson had a great take, and it is a take that I have been saying since yesterday's show when we found out that South Carolina had terminated Lonnie Teasley, the offensive line coach. The take I had was this. The offensive line play was hilariously bad against LSU. In fact, I would go so far as to say that that game against the Fighting Tigers of Louisiana State University was the definition of a winnable football game that you cost yourself the win. And I blamed it on a bunch of things. Now, there were some spots that were maybe outside of your control, like a fake punt that would have been a first down and potentially flipped the game, certainly flipped the field. That was called off by a referee who I thought did a spot of bad refereeing by running in front of the punter with the arms out, saying, no, can't snap it yet, then backing out from away from the punter, but not backing out with the permission to snap the football. South Carolina ran a fake punt. They get a first down. It's called back. You got to do it again. Not great, Bob. Disappointing, if anything. But I would go so far as to say, unlike last year's game against the LSU Tigers, a game that on an LSU radio show last Friday night that I was asked to do a guest spot and break down this game from the Gamecocks perspective, I said, I don't care that I'm going to become, for at least the next 6 to 8 minutes, the most hated man in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the guy who will take my place will be whatever is the next bartender to say, sorry, guys, we're out of beer. I don't care if I'm going to be the most hated man in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Gamecocks should have won that game last year, and they got screwed by the referees. Screwed by them. The pick six coming off the board was an embarrassment. And the host was like, wait a minute, Rob, you can't hit the quarterback. I can if he's trying to make a tackle, but that's all water under the bridge. We've played against a game since then. I thought you got shafted by the officials last week. I don't think you got a shaft by the officials this week. I think, frankly, your offensive line was a joke. The play was bad. Lenore Sellers was getting his ass kicked, as he has been all season long, and you couldn't stop making false starts happen in big-time situations if I'd have paid you to do it. It was bad. The offensive line is the numero uno problem for this football team right now. Lonnie Teasley had to go. I hate anybody losing their job, but I also understand it is a job. And there are expectations and responsibilities with that job that if you are not meeting them, you gots to go. And unfortunately, the expectations for that job in one place may be different from the expectations for that job in a different place. But the expectations for that offensive line coach at South Carolina was to be better than you're being right now if you're that team. Because I do believe the offensive line most certainly cost you the LSU game. I would make the argument they may have cost you the Mizzou game as well. And if you lose more than you win through the rest of the ride, where you've got, 4 consecutive ranked games, 1, 2, 3, 4 coming up, it'll be because of the offensive line. However, what Cole Bryson said, I could not agree with more. It was the right decision to move on from Lonnie Teasley. However, it's not going to change the play calling. It's just not. Now, if Mike Shula is going to, for whatever reason, just insist, I think, unintelligently, respectfully, that Lenore Sellers is to be a pocket passer quarterback, which is, respectfully, very dumb to do. If he's going to insist on that, then by all means, you better make sure your offensive line is prepared to block a pocket passing quarterback's game. Again, I think that is very dumb. And that is why now problem numero uno behind the offensive line is the play calling. Now, I think that play calling is something that a lot of people rush to criticize. Why? A, because it is subjective. It's a subjective metric. Your thoughts on the play calling are going to be different than Lonzo's, are going to be different than mine, are going to be different than Cole Bryson's, are going to be different than Diesel's. However, I don't think that it is all that bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S, to say the play calling's been atrocious. No, I go back to the Kentucky game. And you will recall last week that on Monday I came in here and I said, pat on the back and a good game to Mike Shula, because finally it looked like he was play calling to fit the scheme to the athletes and not try to demand that the athletes fit the scheme. To take the weapons and the resources you have and say, what is our plan of attack with these being the weapons at our disposal, versus saying, this is our plan of attack, figure out how to fit the weapons into it. There's a difference there. I don't know why this popped into my brain. You remember the movie Apollo 13? Great movie. Tom Hanks.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, great movie. Great movie. Great story, too, in real life, but a great movie. They did a great job.
I think Kevin Bacon
was in it. Tom Hanks plays the role of Jim Lovell, and he is one of the astronauts that was on the Apollo 13 space mission. You will remember that the Apollo 13 space mission took off. There was an accident. They ended up being in a spot where the landing capsule and forget the other part of the spaceship, but it was leaking, and they could not complete the mission to the moon. And not only that, it put their ability to, Gary Sinise was in it, by the way. Shout out to Gary Sinise, one of the all-time Hollywood goats.
Lieutenant Diane.
Bill Paxton was in it as well. Great movie, man. Just absolutely great movie. So in the movie, there's this spot where the spaceship can't make it back because they got this leak and they got to figure out a way to plug it. But the problem was, it was a very unique situation nobody had really prepped or planned for or saw was a possibility. And there's a scene in the movie that I think is very apropos for the situation we're discussing. The situation is all of the engineers are standing around in Houston at HQ. And the flight director, the guy who runs mission control, walks in and he says, here's the problem, guys. We've got to fit this into this. And he holds up, it literally was a square peg in a round hole. He said, we've got to fit this into this using this. And he dumps open a box. And the box is everything that they have and only what they have on that spaceship, on that rocket, to get the square peg into the round hole. We got to fit this into this using only this. And he dumps it over. South Carolina, that's where you are right now. You have got to plug a square peg into a round hole. And the problem is you only have to work with what you have to work with. And the problem, I think, is that Mike Shula is the guy that as he sits there at that table trying to figure out how do we fit the square peg into the round hole after the flight director walks up and says using only this, he's the guy that he goes to the other side of the room and he grabs a bunch of stuff that's not on the spaceship and he walks over and he comes up with a fine plan to get that square peg into that round hole and seal up the leak. The problem is he does, like, the people who have to do it don't have those resources at their disposal at that minute. So it's a great plan. I think it's great. I think the pro-style pocket protection style offense that Mike Shula runs absolutely can work. If you have the offensive line and you have the quarterback to pull it off, you have neither. You don't have the offensive line because they're just not that good. And your quarterback does not fit that system. I need you to sit down with the flight director's box of crap and just that and say, okay, I've got these weapons, I've got these items, and this is what I have to use to get the square peg into the round hole. This is what I have to use. And I need you to sift through that and go, my plan with all that other stuff, great plan, it can't work. And if that plan can't work, I need to look at what I have here, and I need to take all these resources that I have, and I need to assemble them in a way that I create a plan that will work. And there's your biggest problem. Your biggest problem, yes, it is a lack of discipline. And again, when you are a culture team, South Carolina is absolutely a culture team. They've got talent on the roster, but they are not top-tier talent yet. You know that. I know that. There's no shame in that game. You're not Georgia's talent. You're not Bama's talent. You're not LSU's talent yet. So if you're a culture team that doesn't have the full-time talent, but you want to pull those wins that start building you in that direction, what are the two things that you have to have? You have to, A, and I hate this because you know I hate a sports cliche. Number one, you have to outwork everybody. You got to want it more than they do. It's like that scene from Remember the Titans. I want them to always remember the night they played the Titans. Like, you got to have that mentality, that dog in you. But number two, you've got to be disciplined. You've got to be more disciplined. You've got to win the penalty battle every night. You've got to win the turnover battle every night. And if you're losing the penalty battle, if you're losing the turnover battle, you can't win. Because if they have more talent than you, and LSU did and does, if they have more talent than you, I need you to say everything else that matters is going to be in our favor. We are going to win the turnover battle, which in this game, you got the 2 picks of Garrett Nussmeier. You got a fumble return. And you won the turnover battle 2-3, but like, how much different is that game if you win the turnover battle 3-0? You may win the game. I need you to win the penalty battle. You didn't. LSU 5 for 54, South Carolina 13 for 65. If you don't have the talent they have, you damn sure better win all of the parts of the game that you can win. And what I'm seeing, based on the play calling, is a setup where Mike Shula went to the other side of the room and he got all these other things that the team doesn't have and said, oh, this is how you win. Great, but we don't have those resources, man. We don't have that stuff. All we have is this box of crap that the flight director just dumped on the table. You need to work with this stuff to come up with a plan. And then the team's got to be disciplined, and then the team's got to win the turnover battle, et cetera, et cetera. And right now they're just not. This is the right decision for that position coach. I just don't know what comes next. All right. The words player insurance are a set of words you might start hearing a little bit more regularly moving forward. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Matt Campbell's an interesting kid. I don't disagree. I just think if you can get Matt Rule, you get Matt Rule. Stay right there, dudes and dudettes. We are BRBing. I think is very interesting and something that I think we are going to hear about college football, basketball programs getting involved with in the next couple of years. And that is player insurance. What's that, Rob? I'll let Dan Wetzel explain it to you right here. As soon as I flip my computer over to the right settings that I need to have them on in order to play it for you, which is absolutely going to happen in just a moment from now. I'll let Dan Wetzel explain that to you.
Want to hear one of the craziest side businesses of the NIL era in college sports? Try Booster Insurance. That's right, Booster Insurance. Brainchild of Arkansas coach John Calipari said, hey, if I go ask a booster or a business or even my school's rev share for $1 million to get a player, what happens if that player gets injured on day one, doesn't play? Player still gets his money, which is great, but everyone else is out. Enter Booster Insurance. Enter 32 teams, a group that's offering, backed by Lloyd's of London, a deal where Arkansas is going to pay 3% premium to get this thing insured. 30 grand on $1 million player. If that player is lost in the season before January 15th, Arkansas gets all its money back. If it's by February 15th, they get half. The player's lost, but the school gets to take that money, use it for next year's recruits, use it to fund the program or whatever. They're protected. It's a lot of money out there that's not being insured in college sports. So enter Booster Insurance. It's a weird one, but it's coming for college athletics.
So there's Dan Wetzel saying player insurance. Effectively, Lloyd's of London, which if you've heard of, I'm assuming many of you have heard of Lloyd's of London. They insure stuff, right? Like you've heard the stuff about like a celebrity has a body part insured, right? I think J-Lo got her butt insured at one point. So if something happens and she, I guess, loses her butt or her butt is damaged, then she would get paid X tens of millions of dollars.
Like tear a glute and it causes it to be malformed.
Yeah, if she ends up with like if the butt was to deflate somehow, if like one cheek was to drop lower than the other cheek, whatever. And for the record, I think she said at one point that her butt was not insured, like that was a gimmick. But there are celebrities who have gotten body parts that have been insured,
especially receivers with their legs and stuff like that.
Players do it 100%. Career insurance, so to speak. It's just for a celebrity. Like if you got a famous ass, you want to make sure that you can keep them glutes.
If I were to
profitable.
look up, is J-Lo's butt?
I just did. It's not. It's not.
Okay,
She said she told Jimmy Fallon that was a made up story. But Lloyd's of London does offer body part insurance. You can go insure a part of your body if you like.
Every part?
If the wife's like really happy, yeah, maybe body insurance for, you get it if you're proud of it. You know what I mean? So
your eyes. Yeah.
That's exactly smile. That's exactly what I meant. So, I should get my vocal cords insured. That way, if they ever get fried, I can't do radio anymore. I get a year's salary back.
I wonder how much you'd have to pay to have that insured.
Well, if it's 3% of the total value, not much. So the thought here is a team like the Arkansas Razorbacks, if they were going to say go $1 million in NIL or go $1 million in rev share, that they could insure it for a 3% premium. So say 30 grand to insure a $1 million deal. And then you have timestamps on it. If that player shows up for Arkansas and then they suffer a season-ending knee injury before January, or if they go into the portal, they come to Arkansas and then they pull what was that? The quarterback that did that with Florida. He came to Florida and then he wasn't going to start and then he transferred. He's out of Arizona State. Now, you know who I'm talking about, that guy who is now like had sued Billy Napier in Florida and all that. I forget the kid's name, but you know what I'm talking about. Point here is the school would come off 3% of the total. And if that player is lost before a certain date, they get that money back. If it's after that date, but before the next benchmark, they would get half that money back. So you put down 30 grand. And if the player plays all season, cool, you're out 30 grand, but you protected $1 million. If that player does not play any of the at least the main part of the season, with Wetzel said the deadline will be in January there. So if he makes it through the non-con schedule, but when it's conference run time, when the chips are down, if he's out at that point, you get the whole $1 million back from Lloyd's of London. You can put it right back into the program, put it towards another player, whatever. If it's in February, so most of the conference games are played, you still got the tourney out in front of you, conference and natty still out ahead of you, you would get half of that back. Meaning you put down 30 grand, that player makes it through the conference games, but he's out before the conference tournaments start. All right, you get 500,000 back. All right, still you're out 470 grand, but like I've done the math, 470, a lot more than the 30 you'd be out. So player insurance. When I take this story, and for the record, I think it's a decent idea. Honestly, I think it's for what college athletics is now, I think it is a good idea for the schools, right? Especially when rev share rolls around. Because look at it this way. If you've got $22 million in rev share to split up across the athletic department, and you give your quarterback $2 million in rev share, Miami gives Carson Beck $2 million in rev share. It's not just the $2 million that he is worth. It's also $2 million that you cannot give anybody else. I can't give that money to my running back, my wide receiver. I can't give that money to my starting point guard who's an NBA lottery pick. I can't give that money to my women's WNBA first overall pick who is going to do for me what Caitlin Clark did for Iowa, Angel Reese did for LSU, Paige Beckers did for UConn. I don't have that in the bag anymore. So that's what I'm ensuring, not just the milli or the 2 milli or whatever. It's also that if that player is not can't or won't, for whatever reason, participate in a way that $2 million, I think, translates to a $2 or more million benefit back to the school. I get that money back and I can put it somewhere else that it will. I can reinvest it. I think we as a country have done a real bad job with how we handle health insurance and car insurance in this country. I think most of us all agree, I might be wrong, that it's largely a scam. It feels like a scam. I got to give you money every month out of my paycheck. And then when I need a doctor, I got to give you more money. And then I got to give you a whole lot of money to then get to the point where you give me back some of my money. It's a scam.
I'm pretty sure you said car insurance. And then
also that.
Okay, all right.
Same thing.
Okay.
I got to give you money every single month. I got to give you a buku dinero. And then the minute that I need you, you fight your ass off to not have to give me money back. It's a scam. We need reform. But this is smart. This is good insurance. It is also, and again, even thinking it's a good idea and it's smart for the schools. And if you're going to do, like I would say, any NIL or rev share that we do that's over $500,000, I'd invest in this. I'd 100% invest in ensuring all of that. At least the biggest NIL and rev share deals. But this, plus the gathering smoke on the story that maybe it was Adidas that pushed out James Franklin, not just AD Pat Kraft, and it was Adidas who said, we'll fork over the $49 million, but go find us a coach that's going to have our logo in the national championship game and not in that game. I told you when all this started, you accept it or you don't, the corporatization, or as me and the boys call it, the inification of college sports is accelerating rapidly.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to finish up the show with a little What the X. I'm going to ask Rob what is Xing, and he will tell us why. Well, I'll tell him something, and you'll see if you haven't heard it before. All right, the first thing it's Xing, or you'll hear it, or you could see it if you're watching on the stream. First thing it's Xing is Schnell.
As in Blake Snell of the LA Dodgers. Blake Snell last night, I didn't talk as much. I did talk some baseball earlier in the show, not as much as I would have liked. You know what I love about the Dodgers right now? I mean, I hate the Dodgers, but you know what I love about watching the Dodgers as a baseball fan with the fan cap off and the analyst hat on? The fact that the Dodgers, a team that were supposed to live and die by showing everybody the big dong all season long, that's not how they're winning games. They're winning small ball games. And that is because Blake Snell went out last night, threw 8 innings of baseball, and faced the minimum. That means that he faced, of the 24 outs that he needed to record to get through 8 innings, he only faced 24 guys. He gave up 1 hit. They ended up getting the next guy out on the double. He faced the minimum. I believe, and I saw the record earlier. I didn't write it down because I'm a big fat dummy, but there's only like 1 or 2 other guys that have done that in a championship series on the NL side, have faced them. And the Dodgers, who all year, the pitching staff, they had a pitching staff on their injured list that was better than anybody's pitching staff in real life. Now they're all healthy. Now they're all balling. The Dodgers can go win 2-1 games, 3-2 games. They don't have to go hit 12 in a game. They get 1 from Freddie Freeman last night, and it was enough. Y'all, I like the Brewers. I picked the Brewers. If the Brewers win the World Series, I'm going to look like a stinking genius. I don't think anybody's beating the Dodgers if they can keep getting that out of Blake Snell, who has been nails in this postseason.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell Xing after the Detroit Lions got the L put on him by the Chiefs. And now we found out that Defensive back Brian Branch has been suspended 1 game for unnecessary roughness, unsportsmanlike conduct. It was, I actually think, the tag they hit him with. Suspended for next Monday's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Considering especially that the Detroit Lions already have like 5 or 6 starters on their defense who are banged up, roughed up. Some of them going to be out, some will play, but will be hurt. I don't know what Dan Campbell said, but I'm sure it sounded something like.
Well, I think he's Xing for 2 things. One is apologizing for that. And the other, and I thought it was AI at first, but I found it a bunch of times, is him being side-eyed by Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, hey, you took that L.
I don't know if it's real or not, but
you took the L. Yeah. You wear the L, boys.
All right. Speaking of taking an L, the next thing is Xing is Seth Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins. Xing because last night the vision got blurry for Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker hit Seth Rollins with a spear. That's not even the only shocking part. Then Big Bronson Reed hit him with the tsunami. I will say this. There's a lot in the background of Paul Heyman that makes him kind of a questionable character. Welcome to wrestling. Most of those guys are at that level, but Paul Heyman's reaction to stuff, facial reaction in ring makes him the GOAT.
He is so good.
He was so good. I was totally bought in.
I thought for sure Seth got hurt during the match against Cody, and then we find out that he probably did.
The rumor is he did. The rumor is backstage he had his arm in a sling, and the reason he was wearing the big puffy coat last night was to hide a brace that was on it.
I've seen pictures of him with the thing.
Yeah,
now.
and this was a way to get him up off the TV for a hot minute, let him rest and recuperate, which does 2 things. Number 1,
last
lets
time
him get healthy.
Last
Number 2,
time he faked it though.
Last time he did fake it.
This time I believe it.
This time I believe it. And the second thing it allows you to do, you either bring back Seth as super mega ultra heel, and that gives you a Braun and Bronson Reed turn to a face, or what I think is more likely to happen, Seth comes back as a baby face that got turned on by 2 guys he was trying to bump up, and we get what I've wanted for a very long time, which is psychopathic top of the card Braun Breaker with 0 holdback on him. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Or
33 and a third % chance he comes back as a face, though.
Or like I speculated yesterday, so Brock Lesnar joins the Vision.
Brock, Braun, and Bronson.
I just think that would be.
See, I don't think you get enough. I don't think he's around enough to justify putting him in a faction. Like, I guess maybe you could have him be like leader from a distance. I'll show up when I need to. But I just don't get that vibe off of him.
We'll see. And finally, the last thing that's Xing is Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Just 2 right now. He lost 50% of his Josh Allens through 2 picks last night as the Bills were shocked by the Atlanta Falcons. I told you the Falcons are a good football team. It is not that I thought at any point they would be a bad football team. I just can't pick them to win the division until they actually finish a season. It is not the middle of the season I was worried about. Michael Penix Jr. is a guy. Bijan Robinson might be the best running back in football. He might be better than Saquon Barkley at this point. They just can't finish. Defense showed up last night, though. That's it for us. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If it didn't, it's your own fault. You got bad taste in radio. But if you come back tomorrow, I promise we'll try 2 to 3% harder. Have a great day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face for Alonzo. I'm Rob Brown. See you back here tomorrow on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later. This guy just put up a picture of his lawnmower where he got the eastbound and down Burt Reynolds Trans Am paint job on his lawnmower, black with the gold phoenix on the front of it.
Yes.
And he put it up with a caption, he's got a long way to mow and a short time to get there.
Yes. Love it. That's amazing.
That's excellent work.
That makes me glad to be alive.
That is excellent work. All right. I got to go do stuff and be an adult.
That? I can't believe you haven't broken it.
It was more of a drop. My notebook's right here, so it's got the cushion of the, of the notebook.
All right.
There.
When you suddenly get that green line again and you don't know where it came from.
This phone's made it 6 months so far. We're in good shape.
Is that a record?
We're in good shape. It's not. It's not. All right, guys, you're all amazing people. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tell your friends about it. Share us around on social media. Lonzo and I would like to get rich and famous and retire and not have to go like work in a grocery store or something again. So tell your friends about us. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you for predicting.